Welcome to Learn Brizy Page Builder. I am JP, and this is our landing pages with Brizy series. And the first one called Flowershop. And we are going to build an entire landing page in this tutorial. So it's going to be quite lengthy, and that's why in the description below you can check for the timestamp. Now the timestamp is like a chapter. You can just click there on the time, and if you think there's something boring, like you don't want to know this or you don't want to know that, you just go down in the description to those timestamps and you click on them, and you can jump around within the video to the areas that are more interesting to you. In this tutorial, we are going to be making then an entire landing page for a flower shop, and this is how our page will look. We will have this very nice header at the top with a button that will take us to our contact section. We have here a banner with some information, specialties like our products over here, and then a nice area for maybe a feature focus for our wedding arrangements, and we've got 35% off on that. And then featured products, something, you know, a little bit different. So we've got something over here like home and living products that we have with a learn more option. Weddings and events. That's interesting. Doesn't look like a wedding and event to me. And then custom boutiques. Under that, we're going to have custom orders. Very nice image here, very nice display with a form that you can fill in, and then full collection where somebody can download the brochure or maybe send it again to their contact form. We have over here a testimonial area with a slider, which is a block slider within Brizy, and it will cycle through Hester Prynne, Lucy Westenra, and then Andy Pipkin. We deliver and ship all over the country. We repeat this one that we have up here. Very common feature to repeat things up here. And then finally at the bottom, we will have a contact section with information where we can be reached, as well as another form to get in touch with a map. A few other features on this page, and we will be using various things to make this page. There is no one way. There are so many ways to do the same thing, and in these tutorials, we will try and give you as many options. We are going to be using the free Brizy page builder, the free version, to build this one entirely free. But for the header up here, I'm going to be using the Suki Pro theme. So I will do that at the end. And I've installed a few other things here as well. I think like scroll to ID. I'm not entirely sure. We can check at the end. Right. So remember, go check the timestamps if you think the video is too long, or you take a break and you come back later and you want to know where to continue. And then just sit back and learn, and hope that this is going to be a fruitful and educational session for you. And if you know already everything that you want to know about Brizy, then thanks for the watch. Let's take this tutorial all the way from the top, and I'm going to show you how to install WordPress on your local server if you want to practice for free. And this is not technical. This is very easy with a great app from a company called Flywheel, and they call this one Local by Flywheel. I also use them for hosting, so check their link in the description below. The first thing you have to do is create a new site. So you just go, after you've launched the app, to this little plus that says add local site, and you give your site a name. We're going to call it Flowershop. Continue, and then I'm going to stick to the preferred settings. You can also set up custom settings if you want. And then over here, we're going to give it the username, the most used username in the history of WordPress, admin. And then the accompanying WordPress password, admin. This is just for practice exercises. You can click on the eyeball. You will see it says admin. Now you click add site. It's going to add the site, and you just give it permission. This may take 30 seconds to a minute to around 2 minutes. So with the beauty of transposition and going forward in time, let's jump to the end after installation. And there you go. That was really quick, and I didn't even need to cut out most of that. Really, really quick. If you need to work with a secured certificate, you go over here to SSL, and then you can decide to make it a trusted site. You click here on trust, and then just give it permission again. Up to you if you want to do that. If you click now on view site, it will open your browser and just give you the front end. You won't be logged in. This is what you're going to see, the 2019 posts. And we want to go into admin. Click on admin. enter your username, and then enter your amazing sweet password, and you click log in. And that is as easy as it can be, really. And this is for you to practice with. There's a lot still you can do with local by Flywheel. We can have a look at that at another time. This is just for you to practice along and, of course, save money. You don't need to go and practice this on a real live site. I'm going to bring in my media, which I have already gotten ready for the site. Go here, and I'm going to select all of them and then deselect these two that I won't be using. Click and drag and drop them, and gazing gazoom, they come in very, very quickly. Let's go confirm they are within our library. Nice. All our pictures, images, they are ready to be used. This one over here, we will use our site icon for our favicon at the end. I will do those things at the end. So our WordPress has been installed, ready to go. Currently, my preferred workflow is the way I'm showing you at this moment, and that means that the next step for me is going to be to install my theme before I go into installing the Brizy page builder. We go to appearance, we go to themes, and the theme that I will be using today is Suki. So I go to add new, and I go look for Suki. And if you know Afrikaans, you're going to say, I'm going to soek for Suki. Over here in search themes, you just type in Suki, and then you will get it. You click on install, activate, and because I'm going to be using the pro version of Suki, I will go download that. So I'll just open a new tab, go to their website at sukiwp.com/pro. You can check the link in the description below. I'll go to my account, and then here for downloads, I'll go to the Suki Pro Design Lifetime, and then I'm going to download the zip file over here. Zip file downloaded. I go back into WordPress. Now I go to plugins, and I click on add new for a plugin, and then upload plugin. I'll go down here to where it had downloaded. Click and hold and drag it in here, drop it on choose file, and then click on install now. That's going to install it in a jiffy, and then you just need to enter your license key. So if you have an account with Suki, you will go to licenses over here, copy your key and paste it. Of course, I'm not going to show you my license, but that's how simple it is. Right, it's installed. Let's activate the plugin. And then we just need to go over here to appearance. We go to Suki, and then over here, you have to enter your license key and activate it. License key activated, and there's a number of things here, like the transparent header and sticky header. These things we will work with at the end of this tutorial. So I'm not going to activate them now. I just put Suki there. And this is where I used to in the past. What I would do now, I would go set up my header. I will set up my favicon, all of those things. But in the last few months, I've gone to a direction where I leave all of that for the end. I install all the plugins and things that I need to build, then I go build my site, and then I come and do these things at the very end. That's just my personal preferences. So our theme then, the one that we will be using, is Suki. The next step is to install Brizy, and you can get Brizy, go to plugins, you go to add new, and then you just search over here for Brizy, and you, as simple as just click and activate it. I'm going to be working with the upcoming release, which is a beta currently. So I'm going to upload it directly. I go to upload plugin, and then from my Explorer, I am going to just grab that beta release over here, drag and drop it. Want to know more about that? Go check out the Brizy site. You have access to the betas if you are a member, and I'm going to click on install now. We give it a few moments to install. And plugin installed successfully. So whether you are going to do this manual upload or you're going to install it directly from the WordPress repository is up to you. It's going to have the same effect. And we just say activate plugin. And we are done. So we've got our theme in. Oh, well, we started with WordPress. We've got our theme. We got Brizy. The next thing I'm going to do is just set up the page we will be working. After that, we're going to start rocking and rolling. I get easily lost if my workspace is too cluttered because I get so focused that I put things everywhere and in the end I get lost. So before we continue, I just want to close out a few things here. Close this tab over here, and this one I'm going to move off screen to my second monitor so that we just have this one that we are working with. Let's create the page. And again, something that I have a small peeve about are these two default pages that WordPress always brings in. They are harmless. I know they're harmless, but I still don't like them around. I'm going to select all of them and move them to trash. Apply that, and I'm going to go into trash even and empty that trash. And if I were to build any posts, I would go and delete that one as well. Let's go ahead then and create the page that we will be working with. Add new. And then we are going to just call this one, of course, home page. Well, it's only one page. You can call it landing page, home page, whatever please you. And we're going to say publish and publish it again. And for now, I think we can just leave it. We go to settings and we're going to set this home page as the page that WordPress will recognize as our home page. Settings in the sidebar, go to reading, and we go to a static page over here and select home page to home, save changes. And now we are ready to begin building. So I go back to pages, all pages, we hover over here and then we click on edit, and now we activate it, or the Brizy page builder we activate over here with edit with Brizy. And like I said, what I used to do is that I would usually go and set up a lot of things. Like I would set up my menu, I would set up things like the favicon, site title, all of those things. But currently I just go and build the page first, make sure all of that works perfectly, and then after that I will go and do those things. So we will get to that at the end. We will look at the styling options first because I'm going to set my colors. And I'm also going to change the page layout so that we can work with the Suki theme. Before we do that, just a quick note on monetization and advertisements here on YouTube. I can do that on the channel. I can monetize the channel and I can put the commercials in there to generate some money. The reason I do that is not because I'm a masochist who likes suffering and want to do things for free and make this tutorial that takes 3 to 4 days to prepare, record, and get uploaded. That's not the reason. The reason purely is that I actually despise commercials. I hate them. That is why when Netflix came out, even some of my favorite shows and movies aren't on Netflix. I'll suffer that just so I don't have to face an advertisement or a commercial. I cannot stand the things. And if I need to watch another commercial on YouTube of the guy who tattooed Fiverr on his body, then, I just want to climb through the roof. That is the reason why I do not monetize this channel, because it annoys me when I go to other channels. It's a 2-hour long tutorial and there are 10 advertisements in between. The first thing is those advertisements come in louder. Suddenly and you totally disrupt it. And the second thing is they are just disruptive. It's similar to when you're watching cable TV and these commercials come to you every 5 minutes. Having said that, like I said, I am not a humanitarian. You think I am. So guys, if you would like to support the channel somehow to say thank you and you enjoyed it, I've added a button in the description link for buy me a coffee. That is as simple as that. You click on the link, you can there donate something, and we call it a coffee. And that is for me a much better way if you think you want to contribute than playing those commercials. I know many people would prefer the commercials, then they don't have to provide or add anything to it. That's fine, you don't have to. But if you do feel you got some value from these tutorials, then please go ahead and support us there. I am not going to put any monetization ever on this channel purely because I despise these commercials that come in between these long tutorials. Right, I've said that. Let's get into our styling. Let's set up our page. Let's do the styling and let's talk quickly a little bit about styling before the time, because I think there's probably no designer and developer out there that follows the same workflow when it comes to how you decide on colors and how you decide on fonts. Though I think there's a lot of people out there that should consider this more. When I go onto websites, the thing that really can frustrate me are fonts that do not fit together. And maybe some of you are thinking, what? There are fonts that don't fit together? My favorite Comic Sans does not fit on every other font? Yes, there's actually quite a big science behind it. I think some of it is a little overrated, but there is some principles behind it. We're not going to look at it in this video, but I just want to say this is something that each person has their own workflow. So for me, colors and my font choices before the time are very important, and you have to get that inspiration from somewhere. You either get it from the CI, the corporate identity, you either get it from a logo, or you go and get a color theme. And in the various tutorials, I'll show you the various steps I go through when I have to work with that. For this site, let me bring in the site that we will be working with. I started with this Flowershop, and I started actually everything with this image over here. And how I did that was I looked at the petals and I looked at the shape of the petals and I thought it's nice and round and flowing and curvy. Then I went on to Fonts Google and I looked and I searched for a long time until I came across this font, which is the Alice font. The second thing is the color scheme that I went through. Now you can in Chrome, and I'm using Bliss here, but it's a Chromium provider, so you can get Chrome extensions for it. You will see my little icon up here. This is Color Pick Eyedropper, and there are a number of them. So if you go into Google and you search for Color Pick Eyedropper, you're going to get the first one up here, and you just click on it and you install the extension, and then you have it. And what this will allow you to do that, if you have an image like this one, you activate the eyedropper over here, and as you hover over it, you will see the little swatch box there appear, and you can draw and get the colors from it. Simply by clicking on it, it will give you the hex code for it. And if you want another one, you hover it somewhere else, right? And this is how I go about getting those colors that I want to use for my layout. And then I will play around a little bit with them. I'll choose a dark one like the button, a dark variant. I'll choose lighter variants, and essentially I build up my color palette like that. Then after that, the hard work comes, and this again is something I do just to punish myself, and that is I set up everything within a document so I have it that I don't have to think too much later on it, and I can make tweaks and changes to it. So I have my codes that I will be using for my color swatches. The two fonts that I will be using is Nonito and Alice. And then here for my stylings, which we will discuss a little bit later, I've got those settings as well. What we're going to do is we're going to set up quickly these colors. And you do that by going over here into the sidebar, click on this little brush, let me close it, on the brush, and you get your swatches over here. A few things you have to note, and that is this swatch over here, this little one here, is going to be your default paragraph color. So whatever you want to make your body text color, remember this one, you have to set that color here. The second one you have to remember is this bright blue one over here, third from the left. This one will be your default icon and icon and button colors. So if you have a default color for that, you're going to set that here. So let me begin this process, and I always like a black, so I'm going to have this one on the right black, on the left black, and on the right I'm going to keep this one at white. I prefer to have those two always at my ready. And then from here, let's begin. I'm just going to copy these codes into it and paste them, and you will see how that color theme I am building out. And this I've done all with that one single image that I had used and shown you at the beginning. I used the eyedropper and I had pasted that. Let me just see, I got the right one there. Yep. Okay, for this one, good. I like that orange as well. Nice color. Okay, and then for that one, which I told you is going to be our default paragraph text color, I use a darker one. I just want to make sure that this one is correct. 6673AD. Indeed, it is correct. So I've set my color palette there. And the great thing about this color palette is, number one, it is global. Number two, if I decide at the end I despise this color palette, I want to change it, I can just go and change the swatches and it will apply globally. Talking about globally, that brings us to these styling elements for your typography, your fonts. This is something that you can set now. And like you saw here in my Word document, I have that set here already. I'm only going to use 4 headings and I'm going to use paragraph, but I'm not going to style it now. My preferred workflow at this moment is I begin building out my page, and when I get to my first header, I type my header there, then I come here and I do the styling at that same moment, because I want to constantly see how does it look, go into tablet, go into mobile. So I'm not going to set these guys now, to your surprise. The last thing I want to do is go here to this little page here, click on it, and you see page template. Now the page template gives you the option of how this page will display. Currently, we are in the default Brizy template, which means there is nothing from your theme being displayed here. So we installed Suki at the very beginning, and Suki has its own header and footer, but you are not seeing it and it will not display on the front end. If you want to use that, you will have to activate the Suki, template for that. If you are going to build your own header within Brizy, you just leave it here, but we are going to use Suki for this one. Click on the drop down and you will see 2 options. Now the default here, this will take you to the Suki theme, and then you will have to go back into the page and make settings like disable the title, those kind of things. But within Suki and Brizy comes this option for the page builder. So what Suki does already is it will only bring in the header and footer. So I select this one over here, and it say changes you may save, you made may not be saved. Now, what changes did we make? We changed this styling over here. So if I were to change it without saving it, I will lose all my work. To save, you go down to the update button here in the bottom right-hand corner, but I love my shortcut keys. Control S on Windows, Command S. So I'm going to just press Control S, and you will see the little cycle spinning there, and update is done. Now I go again here to page template, and I put it on page builder. The wheels are spinning, and now you see, here we go. So like I mentioned to you, normally I would have created my menu at the very beginning. I'm going to do that at the end. And here is the name of our site. And here at the bottom, we have a footer as well. We're going to build everything here on this page now with Brizy. The first part we will build out is our hero section or our hero block. We usually talk about sections, but in Brizy, we call them blocks. So when I use the word section or block, I use them interchangeably. You need to begin with a block, so you go here to start building your page and click on the plus, and we're going to do everything from scratch. Even though there are so many nice pre-made blocks for us to choose from, we're going to do this all from the very beginning. Down the ladder we fall, down the snakes we fall, up the ladder we go. Add a blank block. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete one of these columns that come in by default. I'm only going to be working with one column. I go to this column, and then you go to the settings up here and click on delete. And there are many ways to delete a column. That's one of them. The first thing I'm going to do to give me some context with what I'm working is I'm going to bring in my background image. Go to the settings of the block. Go to the left where you see this little icon that says background. Click on it. And then here with image, click on the upload, go to your media library, and I'm going to choose this image over here. Select. And then here within the thumbnail, the blue little dot you see here is your focal selector. I want to make sure that my tulips, these are tulips, right? I want to make sure that my tulips always stay a little bit more to the right and that they are in focus. So I'm going to grab my selector and just move it to the right to make sure that I always have that balance, because I want to put my text here on the left. Good. So I'm going to leave that. I'm done with that. And before I do any changes to my padding, to the top and the bottom, before I bring in that space, let's build out our content. To bring in our header, everything with text connected is done with the text element. Go to add elements, look for your text element, drag it and drop it. And it will look by default like this, because this is the default Brizy settings. The only changes we have here is the color, different color palette. And like I told you, you can see this little one is selected. That is your default text element color. So make sure whatever you put it here in styling, that is the color you would prefer using for your body text most of the time. To select everything, Control Command A or triple click like I'm doing, and then we type in Flowershop. I'm going to leave it to the left, and now I'm going to set it to the heading style that I want to use. To do that, go to the T over here, and then under typography, I'm going to make this heading 1, which is just my big heading on my page, and this is all connected to style. And I'm going to click here on heading 1. Now this is not, of course, how I want it to look. I want to have a different font, different size. And as I explained earlier, what I do now is I go and set that styling. I've set it on heading 1. Now I head over here to styling, and I go over here to heading 1 and I click on it. The font I want to use is Alice. Currently, Alice is not part of these default fonts. It's a Google font, so I can upload it. I go here to add new font, click on that, and then over here, Google Fonts, click on that, and then we search for Alice. Alice, click on Alice, and continue. It's done. That was quick. We're very satisfied with that. We go back to our styling, heading 1, and now we set it on Alice, and when I click on it, you can see what happens up here. And it changes to Flowershop. Now we have these 3 little icons here. This is for your desktop, this is for your tablet, and this one is for your mobile. I'm only going to work with this one now and set everything here. So until that looks good enough the way I want it, and then when I go and check my responsiveness in tablet and mobile, then I will set the settings for the others. So for Alice, I'm going to put this at 120. There are 3 ways you can put in size. The one is you click here on the arrow and you keep clicking. The other one is you click and hold and it will move up by itself. And the third one is you just select the text or the numbers within the box and you type in the value if you know what you want. In this case, 120. The weight, I'm going to leave it at normal. And then line height, my preferred method for line height is to keep it at 1 whenever I work with headings. And then the letter spacing, I like the minus 1.5, but I'll just put it around minus 1. Right, so now I've set that heading style, and if I were to use it again in the future, it is there. Or later, if I decide that I didn't like the font for my headers, I can just come here and change it, and it will change globally. Let's click out of that to see how it looks. And one of the things you have to get used to when you work with anything online is to save your work. Remember the update at the bottom. I'm not going to constantly tell you to save, but you will probably see every now and again the wheel start spinning. That's not an auto save. That is me pressing Control S, Command S on a Mac on my keyboard. So I go for the Control S again and you see the little wheel spinning. You know it's being saved. Now that I have my header here, I want to make a few changes to my block. The first change I want to make is I want to narrow down this column a little bit. And I can do that in a number of ways. But what is going to be simple for me is to go to the block settings up here, go to settings, and you will see currently our width. This, you can see the container of the blue column. This is our width currently of our block area in which we can work, and it's set at 100%. You can put it on full and then it will go across the whole screen. I want to keep it at boxed, but I want to restrict it even more. And this is in percentage. I'm going to click in there and type in 80%, and that will now apply about 10% on each side, and we will only be using 80% of our workspace here. That is what I had done there. Happy with that, I bring in another text element for text I want to place below this. And this is very typical setup for a Euro banner, Euro section. Text is always a thing. If you have your text ready, you can use that text. If you want to use the Brizy placeholder text, this text that comes in here by default, that's fine. If you want to have something different, of course, there's the famous lorem ipsum. And if you don't know about lorem ipsum, it is just placeholder text that does not offend people because no one really knows what it says. It's all in Latin. I usually use a website called loremipsum.io. They have a very nice feature called generate, which means they generate for you longer paragraphs. So you don't have to use the same text again and again. You choose over here the amount of paragraphs that you want to use, and then you click on generate. And from here, you can then go around and just choose random text and apply it. And that's pretty nice. It just gives a little bit of variety to it. The other thing that I've actually started doing a lot lately, that's just one of those things, is you go for those very old classic novels like Alice in Wonderland, Land Down the Looking Glass and Through the Looking Glass, or Dracula. I've done that quite a lot recently, where I go to those sites and the text is in the public domain. So you can go to those books that had been written, classic books, I think it's around more than 75 years or something like that when it goes into the public domain. This moment, I'm not sure at all. And then it gives you actual text that you can copy and you can use on your site, just to give you a different idea of text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy some lorem ipsum text. Then I'm going to come here and select everything and I'm going to paste it. Now, again, what I had done up here, I want to go and style this. I click on T and make sure it's set to paragraph. Then I go to my styling. I go to paragraph. And what I want to use here is Nonito font. Again, Nonito isn't here, so I have to go add it. Add new font. Go to Google Fonts. And I'm going to type in Nonito. Right, click on it and continue. And then it is installed. If we have a look quickly at our dialog box, you can see these are the two fonts we're going to use, and then these are the default fonts. And you can clean that up. I'm going to do that by click on Add New Font, go over here to Fonts, and then I'm going to delete Roboto, Playfair Display, delete that, Noto Serif, Montserrat, and ABZ, but Lato is not going to be deletable. And the reason for that is it's just there must be some font to which the website can fall back on. So Lato remains there. And we all agree, not a bad font to fall back on. So now, if I go to styling, click on paragraph, you're going to see only this. I like it. It's just one of those things. I spent my time on it. I know. We talk about it a lot. Let's go for our styling then. I'm going to put this on Nonito. And then the size I'm going to keep on 16, and look at how it changes over here in real time. Nonito is a very, very light font in its bare bones, so I'm not going to use the light for it. I'm going to put it on bold. And actually, as I'm working here, this is not the paragraph I want to use. So I'm going to click again here. Sorry for that. Go to T for typography, and I want to style this as a subtitle, rather as a subtitle than a paragraph. So I just have to fix the paragraph when we get there. For the subtitle, then what we do is the same thing. We go to styling and subtitle over here. Now, subtitle, you can use the word tagline or strapline, some of these words that come from the print media that you can choose. Let's do it again. No need to. And subtitle, I'm actually going to keep on 18. And then for the weight, I'm going to put it on semi-bold. And line height 1.7. And the reason why I have a line height here is because I'm going to have more than one line. And you will see that soon, and I will leave it on 0. Click out, and what you see here is that our text is running over our tulips. It's a little bit obscure. The colors do not contrast enough. Every time that you see words getting lost, it's because there's not enough contrast. That is the bottom line. You can have two similar colors and they can play very well because there's a lot of contrast. And then you can have colors that you think are very different, but then when you put them over each other, it's because there aren't enough contrast. There isn't enough contrast. What I'm going to do here is that I have my flowers on the right. I want to balance that with my text on the left. And to help that along, I want to apply space to my entire column in the middle. Not in the middle, on the right. So I want to apply space over here. And I'm going to do that with padding. So I go to the settings here, more settings, and then over here, I will activate pixels instead, percentage instead of pixels, and I'm going to type in 50%. So I'm basically restricting the area here that I'm using to 50%. I'm only going to use this 50%, and that's what I've done over here. Now I have this kind of balance that I'm looking for, and the force is again in good shape. Button next, our call to action, and I click here on Add Elements, and I bring in the button. And you can see the button brings in this color by default, and that is the one we had set here, third from the left, that swatch. So I don't have to play around with the colors. And you see that when I hover over it, it applies a slight different tint of that color. It's also set by default. You can change it if you want to, but I'm very happy with that. The button styling can also be done with these styling options, but there's a small glitch at the moment, so I'm just going to style the button directly from within this dialog box. Let's put the font also on Nunito, and then the size I'm going to put on 16, make that bigger, and then we put it on bold. Over here, I'm going to reduce my line height to 1, and then letter spacing a little bit smaller to 2. Okay, that's good. That's my typography. Let's go to the button quickly over here. I want to apply my own sizing. So this you can choose between small, medium, and large. If you want custom, you click over here. This one is 42. This is our width, and I think that's fine. And for our height, I'm going to put it at 18. Now, the thing about the height is actually, you remember that with the T for typography, I reduced it to 1. That actually takes some of the height out. But I like my line height at 1. It's just my preference. But because I had done that, I have to increase some height over here. So I put it on 18. The fill, I'm going to leave it at a full fill, but then for the corners, I want to make that rounded. Good. So there we go for that one. Then go over here to icon, and I'm going to remove my icon. To change the text, I'm going to double click and then caps on my keyboard, type in learn more. And now the button has been styled. What we will do at the end is we will come and add a link here. So when people click on this button, it will take them to the bottom of the page where your contact area is. Let's align everything so we have consistency and we align it to the left. One thing I want to show you also is that if you hover over the button, you will see the hover state, it's slightly lighter. I prefer that happening a tad quicker. For my preference, this happens just a little bit too slow. It's like, finally, there it happens. You can change the speed of that. Click on the button, go to settings, and then over here under more settings, you go to advanced, and you will see here it says hover transition. Hover transition controls the speed of how quickly a hover happens within that element. It's set to 50 milliseconds, which is half a second. I want to happen quicker, so I'm just going to reduce it up to anything here, and you can test it in real time. You see, it just flashes. I prefer that. Maybe 50 milliseconds is more elegant. I don't know, but I like my buttons to be a little bit quicker, that when people hover over it, they immediately get that feedback that they can click on the button. Let's have a look at how it looks now. And you can agree with me, everything is a little bit too squashed. We've got things looking okay here, but at the end, it's a little too squashed. To fix that, the first thing I think I want to do is I want to remove this 50% padding that we have applied here. I do not want it to apply to the heading as well. So yeah, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go to settings, more settings, and here where I had 50%, I'm going to put it back at 15 pixels to keep my column the way it was. Sorry for that runaround. But now I want this one to have that 50% pixels padding on the right. So I'm going to click on this element. Then I'll go to the settings, more settings, and I'll unlink the padding up here. Then for the right border or the right side, I'll put it down percentage and add it to 50 pixels so we can bring that in. That looks better. I think that's more what I had in mind for this. It's always a good idea when you work with this to add more space. It's something I cannot stress more how important space is on a website. It's better to have more negative space, which is empty space, than have everything squashed together. And to give it that kind of definition, I'm going to bring in a spacer. So I go to add elements, click on the spacer, drag and drop it. And you see, every time you see the thick gray line, that's where you can drop the element. I'm going to drop it between the heading and the subtitle, the tagline that we've created. And you can click now here and you will see the little handle here that allows you to drag it, and you can decide what is enough space for you. If you want more control, you go over here to the settings and you can add it here. So if I want to say I want it exactly at 25, I just type it in and it will go to 25. I was just mentioning space. We have to add space then at the top and the bottom. There are two ways you can do that. The one I like is you go to the top, you hover with your cursor here until you see that blue bar appear and it says 75 pixels. So that is the default padding that has been added to the block at the top and also at the bottom. All you need to do is click and hold and drag. So I'm going to click, hold, and then drag down, and you will see the pixels increase. And a good idea if you want to really make an impression is to have a very impactful hero image. So I'm going to put it at 235 pixels there. And at the bottom, I'm also going to add quite a number. I'll take this up to around 230. Let's put it here. Good. That is the one way you can do it. If you want that extra control, we always talk about, you go to the block settings, click on that, settings, and more settings. And you can see over here, we have drawn in those values, but you can also click and put those values in manually by yourself. Let's save our work. Control Command S. A few years ago, I would have continued to the next section, and that's how I used to train people. Let's do the page, let's go on, let's go on. And I wouldn't even have considered how this page would look on a cell phone. That has become actually a major priority and something that you cannot overlook. First contact nowadays happen on cell phones. And let me explain to you a little bit about what is first contact. If somebody's on Facebook or they're on YouTube or on Instagram and anyone shares a link with them, it often happens via a mobile phone, like WhatsApp or any kind of messenger service. People click on that link just to go and check your site. And at that moment, your site needs to make an impression, and that happens on the mobile device. It doesn't mean that they are going to do all their browsing at that moment. They may be busy and they're in a rush. But what it means is that impression is going to bring them back later. So when they're home tonight or when they're in front of a PC and they want to go and check out more stuff on your site, they will access it from your PC. So you have to think about that first contact, how people share links nowadays. I hear this all the time and I say it all the time. I'm going to send you the link, okay? I'm going to send you the link, and then you do it via mobile phone. So you have to ensure that your site looks extremely good on a mobile device. And that is why every time we finish a section, I'm going to go into that, what we call responsiveness, and we're going to see how it will display on a tablet and how it will display on a cell phone. And for each of these three, you can set up different settings so that they can display differently for each device respectively. To do that, which we currently are in the desktop display, you go over here where you see the monitor icon. This indicates to you that you are in the desktop display. Click on it and you see the options for tablet and mobile. Let's go to the tablet first. There are a few things that we need to style here. I will look first at my text. What I'm going to do is click on the text and then go over here to styling. And remember, this is a heading 1. I'm going to click on heading 1 and then I'm going to click on this tablet. I'm going to set my settings now here so I can remember the style. And if I want to change it in the future, I just come and change it here. I don't have to go and change it at every instance I've used it on my site. Just do it here and those changes are reflected globally. The default tablet settings comes in at 40. I want it at 100, so I'm going to click here and let it go up to 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. There we go. I want it still to be very prominent. I'm going to leave it on normal. I'm going to put my line height again at 1 and then letter spacing -1. I'm good with that. So I've done that. I'm not going to change anything on this text element. I'm going to leave it. And now it is captured here within this styling. The same for this one. Remember, this was a subtitle. I'm going to go to styling, look for my subtitle and put it over here. Now we make the changes the way we want it to look for the subtitle. It's at 17 and I think the size is good enough. But I want my weight to be the same on semi-bold, and line height 1.5 is enough space there. I think that's good enough, and letter spacing at 0. That's good. Let's go click on our button and we're going to style the button from here. It's at 12. I want it to be at 15 and I'm going to put my weight on bold. And then my line height, I think I will leave it here, and letter spacing I will reduce to 2. Maybe this is a tad too big. Yeah, I think it's too big, too overpowering. So let's take it down to 13. That looks much better. Now we have put up all that responsive styling, so we know that in the future, if we use it again, it will retain it and we don't have to go and make those changes again. Because of this image now, I'm running into this problem that the shop is overlapping the tulips and there's not enough contrast. Now I'm going to do what I had done earlier with the column. I'm going to go to the column here, and then I will go to more settings. And I'm going to, for the right padding here, activate percentage. I love percentage. And what you now do with this percentage is you're going to look at both this one up here, which is the Flowershop, as well as this one down here, until you find that in a nice alignment the way you think it looks good. For example, this text here at the moment is still overlapping there, and I want it to be a little bit shorter in the top and a little bit longer in the bottom so that they balance better. What I'll do is I'm going to click here within that box of the padding. You see up here, I'm clicking in it, and I'm going to use the up and down arrow keys on my keyboard to just move those settings higher and lower. So I'm going to increase it and just click up to 20 and then see what happens. Okay, that looks good. I think that's exactly where I want it to be. So what I've done is I've applied 20% inside this column here of padding, and that's why everything has been moved to the left. And I think now it looks very nicely balanced. Tulips on the right, text on the left. And that's the balance I keep talking about. The only thing I want to have is more space at the top and the bottom. So for the top, let's go in there, and it's currently at 50. I'm just going to bring in a little bit more. Let's put it at 60. And then for the bottom, 50, let's put a little bit more at 75. Let's see if that looks good. I think I'm impressed. Good. And this is how it will display on your tablet. Don't worry, your desktop is untouched. You can go back. Everything you change here in your tablet view will not affect your desktop view. That's how the settings have been set up, so that if you click here on settings, only those that are relevant to your tablet will appear. You will not have unnecessary elements appear there, and you won't affect either your desktop nor your mobile. Talking about mobile, let's go into mobile. Click again here and click on mobile. And for mobile, this is a very squashed view. The one thing I just want to quickly point out here is you see the space here on the left and on the right. That space is the boxed width at 80% we had set at the very beginning on desktop. Let me just show you that again. Go to desktop, go over here to the block settings, and remember we set it here at 80%. So it applied 10% here, 10% here, and gave you 80% of real estate to work with. That is what you also see here on mobile. If we hadn't done that, this column will extend all the way to the left and the right, and that may bring in some problems for you. So just remember, when you come to the mobile, you need this kind of space on the left and right. How you're going to achieve it is up to you, but you will need it. Let's go through the same process we did in tablet. I'm going to click on this element over here, which is our heading 1. Then I go to styling, look heading 1, and I click on the cell phone. And now I just add my values here. The size is 60. I'm going to leave it at normal. I'm going to bring it down to 1 line height and leave my letter spacing at -1. Let's go next to our subtitle. Click on that. Go to styling. Click on our subtitle. Where is subtitle? Click on the phone. It's currently at 17. I'm going to reduce it a little bit to 16, but put it on semi-bold. Leave it at 1.5 and leave it at 0. So that looks better. For our button, I think our button, similar to what it looks on tablet, I'm not going to touch the button. What I'll do now is to add a lot of space at the top and the bottom padding. I'll go here to the top until I see that blue bar, click and drag, and I'm going to add about this much of space, and then at the bottom I'm also going to click and drag to around here at 115. We see here again this overlapping thing that's a little bit annoying, and we can fix this in a different way. Go up here to the block settings and then click on the background for the image. And what you do now is you grab the selector and you move it to the left like this. You see what I'm doing over here? And now the focus will be in the middle. So we see the tulips slightly coming out there from the right. And that gives us a little bit more to work with and it doesn't look that much cramped. For the subtitle though, we want to move this text to the left, so we want to add space in here, which is padding. Go to settings, more settings, and then we delink it up here for the padding because we only want to work with the right side padding. I'm going to put it again on percentage, and purely because I like percentage, it activates it. So on my arrow keyboard, let's put it at 5 and see. No, let's put it a little bit higher at 10. And I think that looks much better. Okay, so we've applied that 10% there, and now it's pushed the text over here. Just want to see if I put it at 11. Okay, 10, 11, doesn't make a difference. Now we have far more harmony on this page, and our mobile display looks good. So let's just cycle through that again. Desktop, tablet, and mobile. And highly suggested that we save our work, Control Command S. And now also you have the opportunity to go and preview it on the front end, because this is your back end. You want to see how it's going to look for a visitor to your site. Go here to the toolbar at the bottom where the eye of Osiris is and click on preview. And then it will bring up your page for visitors, how they will see it. And we only have this one section at the moment. I have responsive views over here. So from the favorites, I'm going to choose Apple iPhone X. This will show you how it will display on an iPhone X. And the moment you see that, you can see the differences in how we had changed the focus point of the image, how we've changed the setup of the text and everything, and it looks good. So you can rest assured that when somebody is on the subway and they get a link to your Flowershop and they click on it, it's going to display very nicely on their phone. The other one, you can also check it on a tablet. And one of the things I like to do, because I have a pretty high resolution screen in front of me, my monitor is pretty big, and that means I have a lot of real estate on the left and right. Smaller laptops do not have that, and we often forget to take that into consideration. So I've chosen this one they call a laptop. What is that? Laptop 5 or Laptop S. It's 1280 by 800 pixels. And this will give you a very narrow display, but it will make sure that you can see how it will display on those smaller laptops and if it will look good. Right, so our responsiveness is good. Our header looks absolutely stunning. We've set our styling for our heading 1, and for our subtitle, we've created our button. Let's go next, and we create a banner at the bottom that will talk about our delivery. Below this hero image, we're going to add a very narrow banner. Sometimes terminology can become very confusing when we are working with websites, because one word can actually mean many things. And I know many people often like to refer to this hero image as the banner. This is the main part of what your website is about. I prefer to use the word banner to, you know, like those airplanes that fly through the sky and then they have text on a banner behind them. That is my idea of a banner, something narrow and long. It's, again, something that I just do when I'm working by myself and I make my own notes. I will say, put a banner in here, put a banner in there. The moment I talk about hero, I think again of something bigger like this up here. Let's do a banner down here, and it's going to be a very simple, just draw your attention to it with some text in it and not a call to action. I brought in a new block here, and the first thing I will do is change the color, the background. I go to colors and I choose this color. I can choose either this one or this one. Let's go for this one. I like the red better. We have 2 columns here, and I'm going to delete one. Earlier, I showed you that you can go to the column up here, click on the settings, and then click on the bin, and that will delete it. Another way you can do it is simply hover with your cursor over the column, right-click, and then choose delete. I got so used to that, so sometimes I forget to indicate that I'm deleting it via that method. Now we're going to bring in within this column a text element. Go to Add Elements, click and drag a text in. Click on the text. The first thing I'll do is change the color to white so that I can see it better. Next thing I'll do is change the content. So I'm going to triple click and type in free local delivery on, I tried to do speed type and then I still mess it up, on orders over $150, not pesos, otherwise everyone will want the free delivery. And then let's center align it. We got all of that right. Exactly what I did earlier. Now I'm going to give this a heading styling assignment. Go to the typography and then choose for this one heading 3. Now I'm going to head over to my styling. I'm going to click on heading 3. And then over here, the first thing I'll do is I'll put it on Alice. And then I'm going to reduce my size to 28. And for weight, leave it on that. Line height 1 and letter spacing, I'm going to put it to 0. Good. And that's it. The only thing I will do here is because I want my banner to be a little bit narrower, I'm going to reduce the 75 pixels at the top to what, around 40. Let's see if we can see it. It's a little bit difficult to see. Same as in the bottom. Let's also put it on 40. There we go. And I'm done. This is all I need to do for my desktop view. Let's go into mobile. Tablet first. And remember now you have to go and put the styling in for your tablet. This is heading 3. I go to styling, heading 3. I put it on tablet and I want to have it at 27. That's right, normal. I'm just reduced the line height to 1 and I'm going to increase my letter. No, let's leave the letter spacing at 0. I will reduce the padding at the top and the bottom. Let's grab it from here, the block settings, go to settings and then uniformly I'll just decrease this to around 24, 23, 22. There we go. This is how it will display on the tablet. And then last one is our mobile display. Click again here on the text, then go to styling, heading 3, click on the mobile, and we reduce the size to 16. It will fit in nicely. Keep it at normal, reduce line height to 1. I want to add a little bit more space between those letters so they are more legible. So I make it 0.5, just that little bit that I have over there. And let's see about this 25. I think let's make the padding for the block also a little bit smaller at 15. You see, that's what I want. I just want that banner there, draw your attention. And often what you would do is you would actually add a button or a telephone number in there. That's why we refer to often this kind of thing also as a call to action. The moment you add something like a button in there, it will become a call to action. But at this moment, I'm very satisfied with it. Let's go and see what we've done. Control S, Command S to save your work. And then we go preview it on the front end. Let me just activate my favorites over here. Throw it again on Apple iPhone X. And there we have our previous one. Good. You're seeing it fits in very nicely. Let's see on the iPad and on the laptop. Good. We are good to go. Now we've added that banner. Let's go and add some products and services, which we will refer to as our specialties. Let's build out a product section. And just to give you an idea again of what we are working towards so that you can have a visual idea of the site that we are building. We've done our hero section, we've done the banner, and we're going to do this now, which is a product feature section. Under that, we're going to look at a discount area, like a promotion, and then more featured products. And we will have this custom orders form where people can fill in full collection with a button over there, some testimonials, and we're going to repeat the banner, the info banner that we had created. And then at the bottom, contact information, our form information with a nice nifty looking map. And that's what we are working towards. Let's look at that product section. Then we bring in a new blank block. And then over here, I think what we're going to do immediately is delete one of these columns. We're just going to work within one column. We bring in a text element for the heading. And this heading we're going to repeat a few times on the page. Usually when a heading is repeated at the top of a section, it's most oftenly a heading 2. Unless you make it a heading 1, then it's a heading 1. Let's call this one our specialties. And then we center align it. And then we go and put it on heading 2. And now let's go and style the heading 2 settings for this one. We go to styles over here, click on heading 2, and we select Alice. It's also going to be an Alice. And then for this, it's at 42. I'm just going to make it 1 pixel higher to 43. Leave it at normal. My line height for headings, I keep it at 1. And then for our letter spacing, I want to increase the letter spacing. So I'm going to put it at 1. And that is our heading. That's terrific. It is done. Let's bring in a subheading for that. Again, text, we drag and drop it there. Click on it and go to typography. I'm going to choose subtitle, and we've already styled the subtitle, so we don't have to do anything. You see, immediately it goes to Nonito. Put it in the middle by center aligning it, and I'm going to double click and replace it with some lorem ipsum text. To give some space between these two and a division, I'll bring in a divider. So go to the add elements, and then you find the divider over here. It's called a line element. Grab the line element and wait until you see the thick gray line between the two headings and drop it there. Click on it and let's see the color. I think we're good with this color. Then let's look at the alignment. It was in the middle. Let's leave it in the middle. And then click here, and the width we're going to reduce to around 6%. I want to make it a little bit thicker, that line. And to do that, you go to the color swatch again. You will see up here you have drop-down options for the type of line. Is it a full line? Is it dashed? Or is it a dotted? And we go to the solid option, so solid line. To change the thickness, you see here at the bottom it says size. Click on it and type in 3. I think 3 is just good enough for what I want to achieve. Let's look at the subtitle again, or the subheading. What I want to do with this paragraph, I want to break it into 2 lines. And to achieve that, I will add padding on the left and the right to squash everything to the middle and give me 2 lines. Let me show you how to do that. Click on it, go to settings and more settings, and then delink the padding options over here. On the right, I'm going to click on the percentage, and I'm going to increase my padding with 25% on the right. And I'm going to do the same on the left. Click percentage and click 25, or type in 25%. And now it has pushed everything nicely like this to the middle. 25% from this side, 25% from this side. Let's bring in a spacer element under that, so we have space between the headings section and the rest of this. And shall we increase this spacer? I think we can make it a little bit bigger, like this. Let's see where it is. 75, maybe a little too big. Let's just drag it down to around 65. And there we have it. This is going to be the top part of the section we are building out, and then we bring in the content. 3 columns that we want here. And we go again to add elements. Over here, you see column. Grab it, drag it until you get here. Not that one. You want to leave it within the column. So if you push it under here, it will form a new row. I want to keep it within the column, so I drag it and I drop it there. Now, a column within a column always has a pink bounding box, and that's how you know that this container column is inside another one. And I want to work with 3. So I'm going to go up here, click on the settings, and then add new column. Now I've got 3, and all 3 of them are at 33%. Let's do everything in one column, and everything we do there, we bring it into the other columns. I'm going to bring in an image element, grab the image, drag and drop it, click on the image icon, image, and the one I'm choosing is this one over here. And I'm going to say select. Images come in, and by default, they fit the width of the column. So they are 100% to the column, which means that sometimes the height is reduced or it could be increased. And to check that, I always go and put my height at 100%. Go over here to settings, and you will see here the height is currently at 113%, which means it stretched the image to fill that container that we are working with. It depends on what you go for. I know exactly the size I want for this image. The aspect ratio is the way I cropped it before I brought it in. So I want it at 100%. Double click there, double click, and put it at 100%. And now my image is at the correct aspect ratio. I don't have to do anything else for this image. I'm done. I'm going to add a heading under this. And every time we work with text, yes, we work with the text element. Add elements, grab my text. You see that line there, and drop it. Triple click, and I'm going to call this home and living and leave it on the left. Let's put it on a heading 4, and then we have to go and style the heading 4. So I put it on heading 4 here. Then I go to styling over here, choose heading 4. And the first thing I do is I put it on Nonito. This is what I wanted for my heading 4. Then the size, I'm just going to reduce it a little bit to 24. The weight I'll put on semi-bold, and the line height going to leave it at 1.4, but my letter spacing I'm going to put it on 0. And now I'm done with that heading for that area. Under this I want some paragraph text, so I'm going to grab my text and it will come in with my paragraph text. Unfortunately, I had messed up the paragraph styling at the beginning, so we need to go and do that again. We don't have to put it on paragraph. Every time you bring in a text element, by default, it is on paragraph. But we just need to go and fix the styling blunder I had made at the beginning. Click on the styling and paragraph is at the top. Nonito is correct. We want it there. We want it at 16, but we want it normal. And 1.70, that's fine. It's very nice, legible. People can easily read it. Let's just put some lorem ipsum text there for that area. You can use the placeholder text. There we go. What we'll do now is duplicate this column twice. Go up here. Do not click on add new column. If I do that, it'll give you an empty column, and we don't want that. We want an exact column with all the same contents. That is duplicate, which is this one over here. Click once and click twice. And now all we need to do is get rid of these 3 columns. I'm going to right click and delete them. And now we can just work with these 2. I'm going to click on this image and we bring in the next image, which is this one over here. This one has got a portrait aspect ratio. So if I click on it and I go to settings, you will see it is at 53%, and I want it at 100. So I type in there 100. And then we're going to change the text here. And that's all we need to do now is change the text to weddings and events. And we're just going to use the same lorem ipsum text here. So we're not going to make changes. And that's done. We go to this one, same thing, change the image, find this bouquet, go check our settings, our height, 67. I want it at 100. So I type in there again 100. And then we just select all the text there and I type custom bouquets. Good. Let's see, we need space at the top. Let's drag here. I'm going to add about, let's put it there, 135. And at the bottom, we do the same. We add it at 135. This looks good. I like it. Flowershop is starting to shape well. Let's go and look at it on tablet. And what you see immediately is it also looks good on the tablet. The only thing we will need to change on the tablet is a little bit of spacing and maybe a little bit of this styling. So at the top, let me add some space here, just a little bit, and at the bottom. And I'm just dragging very roughly. I'm not even thinking of a specific number. I'm looking at what looks good to me and I add that space. For the spacer, I'm going to reduce it by half of what it is. Let's see if that's around 25, 29. Yes, let's care about those 4 pixels. Put in the 25. And this up here, we need to squash it a little bit. Remember? This is usually a little bit unbalanced when we have these guys who get stuck here in the bottom line. So what we want to do, again, like we did previously, we click on it, go to the settings, and we just add a little bit of padding on the left and the right. Delink it, and let's keep it. No, let's put it on 10% this time. Not that strict and severe. 10%. Just a few more words come here, and it balances it out. It looks better. For our title, let's click on this, and this was a heading 4. So let's go check what is our heading 4 settings for tablet. Select tablet, and I think I'm going to leave it. For some reason, I put the heading 4 on normal, but I think I want to put it on semi-bold. So let's just go back to that one. It is on semi-bold. Oh, okay. So I just need to change the weight here on semi-bold. There we go. And then for the paragraph, let's make sure we've got that right. Click on tablet, 15, 1.6. Let's just put it on normal. And there we go. Much better, much better. It looks correct. And mobile next. Right, so let's see what we're going to do with mobile. Add some space here at the top. Okay, let's put it there at 45. And I think this looks good. This looks good. What we're going to do, though, is I mentioned to you earlier, when we work with this, we restricted the box to 80%, and we didn't do it over here. Even though it looks like there's some white space on the sides. For some devices, like your Apple iPhone X, it's not going to have that white space, and everything is going to run all the way to the edge. It's not going to look good. So we'll add some padding into the column, just to give it a little bit more breathing space on the left and the right. So what I'll do is I'll keep it at pixels, and I'll add 25 pixels on the right, and I'm going to add 25 pixels on the left. And don't worry about what the image is doing here. That will sort itself out when we go view it on the front end. The text here looks good to me. And then for the spacer, let's see. Let's reduce the spacer a little bit. And then we only need to change our styling for our headings. Let's go to heading 4 again. Click on the phone. Click on the phone, click on the phone. And for heading 4, we're going to leave it at 21. But we'll just put the weight on semi-bold. And then we go for the paragraph. Paragraph again. And we put it on normal. Right, I think that will be normal. Let me see if we're going to keep the rest. 15, 1.6, that's good. Does it look good? Do we have enough spacing? We have. Let's add some spacing here at the bottom. Just a little bit. And tablet, let's see it again. Desktop, good. Let's save our work, Control S, Command S, and view it on the front end. Click on the preview button, and we see if we had achieved success with this section over here. Well, it looks good on the desktop. That we are confident in. Let's see how it looks on our mobile displays. Ooh, I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Good. Very, very nice. And then on the tablet, we're going to have it similar to that, and on a laptop. So good section that we've built out here. It looks pretty nice. Up next is the wedding promotion section. And I think after that, we literally need to take a coffee break. Let's bring in a new block and a blank block. And I will first put in my background, go to the block settings, background, and then image, and we choose this one over here with the roses ready, nicely prepared for us. And I'm going to leave the selector over there. We're going to be working with these two columns, and I'm just going to change the ratio of the columns, I think to, let's put it at 40-60. You just grab the handle in the middle like that, and you drag around, and you will see the heads-up display telling you the percentage of the column on the left and the column on the right in, proportion to each other. We'll leave the right column empty so that we can see the image, and then all the content goes in the left. First part is a little bit of a kicker at the top. We bring in our text element, triple click on it, and then we type in wedding arrangements. We go to typography, put it on subtitle. But I'm going to give it a little bit extra. So I go over to the B for bold, and I put it on bold. Align it all the way to the right, and then we are done with this one. Next, we bring in 2 columns. And the reason I want to bring in 2 columns is because I'm going to put one set of typography styling in one column and a second in the second column. You cannot combine them in one text element. So I go to add elements, 2 columns, and drop it there. We see the pink columns again. And I'll drag a text element in this one and one in that one. Let's first work with this. And I'm going to put it at 35%. I'm using the heading 1, which we've already worked with, but I'm going to put it on black. And then I'm also going to put it on bold and flush it, align it to the right. Then I grab this one over here, and I'm going to drag it all the way to 80%. And I know it's starting to look very, very funky, not in the good way, but we'll fix that. And then let's click in this column, select everything, and type in off. And we will give this one a heading 2. Heading 2, make it also black. And how do we get it to come down? Let's put all of these columns. We go to this column, the pink one, click on it. Settings, the alignment, we put it at bottom alignment. And then for this one as well. Because of the font differences, if you click off, you will see the off is still a little bit lower than the 35%. And that is not something that you're just going to fix by changing the font. We'll work a little bit with negative margins in that regard. Let's equal this one out. And what we'll do is click here on this text element. And then we go to the settings, more settings. And we will apply here at the bottom, where is the margin. First, we'll take it away, so there is no margin at the bottom. Currently, there are 10 pixels between this column and this margin that is applied here. So we take it away and see what happens. It moves down. So we need to go in the opposite direction. We have to apply more margin. So put back the 10 pixels and then leave your cursor in there. And all you do is you increase it with your up arrow key. I've put it at 15. I'm going to add 3 more. Let's see what happens. And 1 more. And 1 more. So let's put it at 20 pixels margin at the bottom. And if you look now, they look more or less like they're on the same line. Maybe 18 pixels is better than 20, but I think we got close to that. I want to bring the 35% closer to off. And the way I'm going to do that is apply negative margin. Click on the 35%, go to settings, more settings, and then we go to the margin. Click in the box, and then on your down arrow key, let's go for something like -5 to see what happens. Okay, let's go all the way to -20. And let's make it -25. There you go. So that's much closer. That's more of the effect that I'm after. The weighting arrangements up here, I want to bring closer to these 2 elements over here. Again, I'm going to do that with negative margins. Click on weighting arrangements and then go to more settings. Go to the margin here at the bottom. Let's reduce that first to 0. See how that looks. Let's give a little bit more negative margin over there. I'm going to just type and with my arrow key down -10. And I think that's good enough. Just that little bit of space. Bring them together, make it more cohesive. Bring in another text element for a description, and I drag it here until you see the thick gray line for the column. You can see we're going to have many gray lines here. This one goes into the pink column. This one goes into the blue column. That's where we want it. And this one goes under the columns into a new level of its own. We want it within this column and stretch over these 2. Click within it. We put it also on subtitle, typography, subtitle. We are going to align it to the right, like this. And one of the things you have to learn when we talk about typography and layout, we don't like little ones like these all there by themselves. We want to give them some friends. It doesn't look balanced. It looks like everything is about to tip over. So we want to have a few of these words also come into the 3rd line. To do that, we usually just add some padding either left or right, depending on where you want to go with it. Because I want everything aligned to the right, we're going to add padding here to the left. Go to the settings of the text element, more settings, and then padding, unlink it here, go to the left, and just add a value like 15. And you will start as you add it and add more until you find a number that is good for you. Before I continue doing that, I definitely want to bring in my lorem ipsum text first because it will be different from the Brizy placeholder text. And it's only 2 lines. Let's say I still want it to go into 3 lines. So now you see we need to add far more padding here. So let's put it on 45 pixels. And let's see what happens. 45 pixels, not enough. We increase it, we increase it, we increase it, and let's get it to quite the number. 100 pixels is not enough. Okay, so this is where I like to play with percentages. Let's take 33% of that column, 33%, and there we go. Let's add spacing at the top. And for this one, I'm going to give it quite a lot of space. Let's say around here, 250. 250, and for the bottom, 230. 230. And almost there, almost there, almost there. Good. Right. Let's add some space between the 35% off and the description below it, just to give it more breathing space. And I'm dragging in a spacer, drop it there. And for this spacer, let's reduce it a little bit. That will also give us flexibility. Looks much better. Let's save our work, Control Command S, and then we go and look at our what is this one? Tablet, and see how it looks on the tablet. What I'm going to do for the tablet is I'll grab the handle here in the middle for these two columns, and I'm going to drag it to 50%. We can put this on 50-50, you see there at the top. And now what I'll do is I'll grab the handle for the second column that has been forced to the second row, and I'll just bring it in. And you can bring it in, don't have to worry about that percentage, it's going to look like this. Let's go to these two columns. I'm going to grab it and drag it until off comes in. Oh, and then I drag the off out, and now I'm going to drag it until that happens. Right. So we want to do a little bit negative alignment again with this 35%. Like we did previously, go to settings, more settings, and then here in the margins for the right, I'm going to type in -25. And there we go, close enough for that one. Let's add some padding again to the top. Let's give it more room around there. 85, 86, same for this one here at the bottom, a little bit more. And this spacer is too big currently, so I'm going to reduce it. And again, for the wedding arrangements, I want to give it also a negative alignment to bring it closer to those. Go to more settings. And what did we do last time? I forgot. I'm going here to margins, bottom margin, and I'm typing in -10. I think that was our setting. The -10 looks much better. Okay. Again, only 2 words here for this text. And I think many of you will say, don't be so nitty-gritty. But really, those 2 over there, they're just not enough. We need one more minimum. And that one more just makes the difference to me. So click on the text element, go to your settings, more settings, and then for padding, we unlink them. Go here to the left and let's put it at pixels, and we put it on 10 pixels. Now we've achieved the same line breaks as we have for the desktop. Mobile next, mobile, and we know mobile is going to look all very, very funky. What's the standard procedure in mobile is that when you have 2 or 3 columns adjacent to each other in desktop view, they're going to be on top of each other when you get to mobile, and this is why this happens. But what if you still want those next to each other? You can do it. You see the first column is here, and then the blue handlebar here on the right. If I just can get to it, drag it, and what I want to get here is around 70% because I want the text over there. So I'm going to put the percentage at 70%. Okay, good. And then this one, we're going to just drag until it slips back to the top. What else do we need to do here? Okay, so let's look on the wedding arrangements. And one thing that you've noticed is I'm not changing the text at this moment because these text elements and their styling have been set in the previous ones that we had covered in the sections above. So I don't need to mess around with that. Same thing that we did previously for this one. We have to drag that in and drag this one down. And then we're going to drag the off like this. And then we're going to drag that to the right. And interestingly enough, this time for the 35% off, they are too close to each other. So we have to give some space. Let's click on the 35% settings, more settings, and we can just add some padding in there on the right. And let's give it 5 pixels. Yep, just that little bit of room to squeeze through. Let's do the same for the wedding arrangements we did earlier. We give it a negative margin at the top of -10. And then for this spacer here at the bottom, I'm going to disable this spacer, which means it will not display on the front end, and it's as if the element isn't there. You see, when I click on it, there's this little eye over here. Clicking on it will have a slash through it, which means now this element is disabled for this specific review. And when we go to the front end, you will see there is less space. Currently, it appears like this. Let me show you, for example, if you go to this text element and you want to disable it, you click on the eye and things are blurred out. That is the indicator that they are disabled at the moment. They won't display. And even though you see the space here, they will not display. But let's activate it again. And the spacer we have deactivated. Add some space at the top and the bottom. I'm going to grab the top and give it some nice extra space, 125 pixels. Let's make 125 pixels again. And then at the bottom, we give it also some space, 110, 10. There we go. We have this little issue here, though, that I think things are overlapping too much and not enough contrast, so the letters are getting lost. We're going to do the same thing we did earlier. Go to the block settings, to the image, and then you grab the selector and you drag it until things look more manageable. And there we have the promo section done. Let's update. Control-Command-S and preview it on the front end by clicking on this little preview button, and we see if we need to make some smaller adjustments when it comes to our mobile displays. Go to here. Let's use a Samsung Galaxy S9 this time to see how that looks. Specialties, the one we made earlier. And yeah, nice. I want to go and look at the Apple iPhone. You see, we run into this issue over here. And that's why I continuously go back to the Apple iPhone, because it is more restricted in its width. And you will have to add more space in the padding for your elements to make sure that you don't have this. It just doesn't look good. So what we do, we go back, we go over here to the column, settings, and then what we did earlier, we added 20 pixels here to the left. And it's basically only going to affect this part. Did you see just that small little squeeze it did over there? So let's update and see what that small little squeeze had done on the front. Small little squeezes have gotten us into lots of troubles in our life, haven't they? Right, look at that, perfecto. I love it. Just that little bit of extra goes a very long way. Have a look on our tablet, it looks good. And then here we are on the front end for a laptop. Perfecto. I say it again. That was a good one. Let's literally, you go take a break. Otherwise, this is going to steam your brain. You can even pause this video or come back another day. Don't sit here the whole time. It's going to drive you insane. I'm going to grab a cup of coffee and then also continue. We're going to look at featured products. That's going to be a little bit different to the products and services, our specialties that we've done here. Now we're going to create a section where we're going to feature certain services and products currently. So we highlight some of those things that we are particularly proud of and we want visitors to take note of. Let's make the section for featured products. What we'll do is to go to this one that we've worked here, because we're going to use this entire header section as is. So what we'll do is we'll copy the entire block and then we'll keep what we want to keep and get rid of those things that we're not going to use. Go to the block settings and click on duplicate. Then after you have duplicated it, you go over here to the sidebar on the left, hover over reorder blocks, click on that and grab the second copy and drag it below here. That's how you make the duplicate and then reorder the blocks. We are going to work with a full width block in this instance. So go here to your settings and then under width you choose full width. We'll do some styling here, but for now let's change content, triple click on our specialties and we make that featured products. We're going to keep the line like that, and then for this one we of course want to box things again, and to make it box we're going to put some padding on the left and the right. So if you think again in terms of percentages, here is your entire element from left to right. And we want to maybe keep it a third here in the middle, which is around 30%. You are left with 70%, so 35% on the left, 35% on the right. And I bet you didn't think we're going to do any math here. So we click on this element, go to settings, more settings, go to the padding, and we already have it at 25% because that was what it was in the previous one. Let's put it down at 35% and 35%, and we should have this. I'm going to change the text. We're going to have a little bit of longer lorem ipsum in here, and that will give us a nice looking paragraph like that. Probably saying a little bit more about the featured products, like how amazing they are, and if you didn't use them, it would be the worst thing ever that would happen to you in history. Now we're going to use, again, 3 columns. And we can keep these 3 columns. We're just going to get rid of the content in each of them. But I think that's going to be a lot of extra work. So what I'll do is I'm just going to bring in, again, columns, and until I see the thick gray line there, and then let's get in the third column. And these columns, we're going to delete them. not going to use them. Right, let me just delete that. As we will be working with images that will go all the way to the edge of the screen, we have to ensure that the container we are working with does not have any padding on the side. So we are working within this column here. Let's go to the settings of the column. We go here, settings, and then more settings. And we look on the left and the right, and we see this 15 pixels applied on either side, both sides. And we don't want that. So we're going to put it on 0, and then for the left also on 0. And that will remove everything on the sides. What I'm going to do to give us a better idea of what we want to achieve is bring in the image that we're going to use here in the middle. And that will make this less abstract and a little bit more concrete. And elements, image, then click on the image, go find the image. And I'm going to use this one over here, select it. Then I go to my settings, set it at 100%. Now, one of the questions you may have is, Randy, why are these images perfect as you bring them in? The first thing I will tell you, my name is not Randy, it's JP. And the second thing I will tell you is because I prepared them like this beforehand. I know exactly the aspect ratio I want them to have, the resolution they will appear. I always do this before I start working with images in my sites. I try to get them as close as possible. So that's why I'm very happy with the 100%. Under this, we're going to bring in a spacer. Let's grab a spacer. And we drag the spacer there. And we leave the spacer at 50 pixels. We bring in a heading next, which is a text element. And we call this, triple click, and we call it Art Indoor Decor. And we're going to put it on a heading 3. Heading 3. And we've already styled heading 3 in our global styling, so we don't need to make any changes. Bring in some text, which is the text element. And I'll grab some lorem ipsum, paste that. And then under this, I'm going to place a button. And doing that, I'm just going to go all the way up here to the top where we had created this button. Click on the button, duplicate the button. Now you're going to click and hold and then drag the button down like so. If you get to the bottom of your screen, it's not going to move. So go to your keyboard and use the down arrow key. Just keep it in. And it will move. And over here, you bring in the button and you drop it over there. Let's double click, triple click to select all the text and then caps on the keyboard. Let's say contact us and then uncap it again. And now we have done everything for this column here. So we have a good idea. We have this column. We're going to do something similar here on the left and we're going to do something similar on the right. So how about we just duplicate this column 2 times? Go to the column settings and then here duplicate and duplicate. Then we go to these 2 columns that we don't need. And we've got these 2 columns. Now we can begin to understand how things are going to display. I want to add more gutter width here in the middle. You see this white thing, we refer to it as a gutter. So what I want to do is I want to add more of that gutter width. So we will add more padding within the column. I'll go to this column, settings, and then more settings. And then on the right and the left, it's currently 15 pixels. I'm going to make that 50 pixels each. So you see we add more on the left and the right. And by doing so, we also bring the things a little bit more condensed. I've added 50 pixels here and 50 pixels here. I also want to add the same amount of 50 pixels in this column on the right, but not on the left. On the left, I want to remove all forms of padding and margins. I want this to extend all the way to the edge. Let's go to the column, settings, more settings, and we look at what we've got here. On the left, it's currently at 15 pixels. We want it to extend to the edge of the screen. So we just take away that 15 pixels and we type in 0. And you see my image go all the way to the left. We want to add 35 pixels here on the right because we want it at 50 pixels. So it evens out. And then we have a cool 100 pixels between these 2 columns. Let's do the same, but in reverse for the 3rd column. Go to the column, settings, more settings. For the right, which is the one that we cannot see, it's overlaps. We want to remove all pixels, put in 0. And then here on the left, we want to put it at 50 pixels. And now we've got it spaced like this. The center column is the one that we had worked on, and that is the one that looks the way it should look. For the left column, let's go here and we do a few changes. The first change I'm going to make is click on the image, click and hold and drag it and drop it under Contact Us. So we're going to start with a little bit different. We're going to start with the art indoor decor at the top, and then this, and then this, and then the image at the bottom. You can see this though is now squashed all the way to the edge of the screen, which we don't want. So we're going to add padding here, and padding here. You can also put it inside a column if you want. Click on it, go to settings, more settings, and we add 50 pixels here under padding on the left. That's how we keep everything nice and consistent. We do the same with this one. Go to settings, more settings, unlock your padding, and then go to 50 pixels on the left. And the same for the button. Settings, more settings, unlock the padding or unlink it, and then 50 pixels. That's what we've done here now. Let's add, where are we now? Let's add a spacer here between our button and this one, and the image. Click and drag and drop it there. And the spacer comes in at 50 pixels. We'll leave it at 50 pixels. What I want to do now is I want to move all of this content a bit lower so that this is about halfway off the image. And because we have the spacer here at the top, I'm going to click on it, grab the handle, and then just drag it until this is about halfway off that image. The next thing, all we need to do is change this image. Click on the image, delete it, click on the upload, and we choose this one here. Next, we have to change also the content. And yeah, let's not forget, go to settings, make sure it's at 100%, and it's correct. Let's go and triple click on the heading, and we change this to home and living. And then we add some different lorem ipsum text here. And we can say here, select all the text and call this also learn more. Good, it's looking spectacular. Let's do the same for this one here on the right. Grab the image, drag it down under contact, go to the top. Let's change this one first. Custom bouquets. And then we need to add 50 pixels on the right for this one. We don't need to do it for the custom bouquets. There's a lot of space to the right, so we don't need to do it, but we need to do it for this text element. Click on that, more settings, and then padding to the right, and our 50 pixels. And you can see it has been added here. Then we add a spacer here. Grab it and drop the spacer. Let's change the text of the button. We call it details. And then click on the image and we change the image. And we choose this one, love. We just make sure it's 100%. Right. There you go. And now the only thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to move this one a little bit lower, but not as much as the other one. So we have this kind of stagger effect for this. Let's put that one there and this one a little, where's the spacer here, a little bit lower. Very nicely done. Very, 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 very nicely done. Padding. Let's do something about our padding quickly. And for the top, currently it's 135 pixels. Now you will think, hey, wait, you never changed the padding. When did it get to 135 pixels? And the reason is because we copied this block. Ah, you remember now. And this one is at 135 pixels. At the bottom though, I don't want to have any padding. I'll click and drag it all the way up, but you will see at 15, it's going to halt. It's not going to go any further. So if you want to reduce the padding at the bottom, you go to your block, settings, more settings, and then padding here at the bottom, reduce it all the way to 0. Then I want to remove this space. What I have in mind is for this image to touch the base of the next block. So first I will go to this column here, click on the settings, more settings, and make sure that the bottom is also 0 padding, 0 margins. And that will reduce this space also a little bit more. Then the next one, we go to this column, which also will have some padding. Click on settings, more settings, and then the bottom 5 pixels, reduce that also to 0. And now when we look at it, you'll see there is still a little bit space. If you click on the image, you go to settings and more settings, you will see there is 10 pixels margin at the bottom for that. We take that away as well. And slowly we get all the way and it touches base. That's where we want it to be. Everything looks good here on the front end. We will add links to these buttons later in the tutorial, but this is the kind of artsy-fartsy design layout we want. Let's quickly just have a look at it in our tablet to make sure it looks okay there. Okay, this is way too much space, but everything here looks good. We're happy with this. Let's grab it here and just drag this up. And then what I'm doing here now, you can see I'm not even looking at numbers or the amount of pixels. I'm purely judging it with my eye. I look at this spacer over here, which is at 50. It's too much. I'm going to put it at 15. And I'll do the same for this one. Also put it at 15. And then for this spacer over here, we also put it at 15. Right. And let's see how it looks. That looks good, and we'll test it on the front end. Let's go to our mobile. And here with the mobile, things are going to jump around a little bit. You're going to have the heading first, then you're going to have an image first. You just accept that. You're not going to make a big fuss over that. Also, because we copied that block earlier, we already have the pixels applied to our padding for the left and right of 25, 25. If you go here to the column settings, more settings, you will see it here. So we don't need to apply any space on the left and right. It's already there. Here is a massive spacer. We're going to reduce it. And you just drag it until you think it looks good. Let's go down another massive spacer over here. There's one little issue that I will probably point out here, and that is the entire block. You see, this block here starts at the top with a center-aligned heading and then a center-aligned subheading or text. That is a very strange thing to have it center-aligned, and then the next moment your text is aligned to the left. We want to keep it consistent. So you can either go and align everything to the center in this column, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and align this to the left. All of that. And what is great, again, is that this will only apply to the mobile display. If I go back to tablet, you will see it's center aligned, and same for my desktop, it is center aligned. Where are we? Here we are. Let's save Control-Command-S and then go preview it on the front end, make our final test for our mobile responsiveness to ensure everything will look good if people were to access it on their tablet or their cell phone. Let's choose our favorites over here and put it on iPhone X, the biggest challenge of them all, and scroll down to our featured products. We get here to featured products, right? Enough space, everything is nicely aligned. And if you want to, you can go and reduce more of that space. Because of the setup we have over here, we move the images around. You have to make do with what you've got here. For the tablet, okay, that looks pretty funky. And on the laptop, okay, let's just see. I think we can maybe move around a little bit with this. Let's just go back. Let's move all of this a little bit more to the top. I think it's a little too low. And this one we move higher like so. Just give it a little bit more balance, not so far staggered out. The staggering effect is actually very popular lately on many websites. I see it, but I view it down the front end and I think it looks better if we reduce a little bit of that space. We are done with our featured product section, and as I said, we will add links to these buttons at the end when we've styled our entire page. And like Lola used to say, continue. Now we're going to build a form. For this one, I'm going to go to this section here, this one that we made here. We have two that are very similar, but the difference is this one is boxed and the one that we made here is full width. And I want to go back to a boxed view for my next section. So I'm going to duplicate this one again, go to the settings, click on duplicate, and then to go and get that duplication, go over here to reorder blocks, and then grab it here and drag it down. Let's scroll down all the way to the bottom, and this is the new one that we have here. We have everything here, but what I want to do is add an image on top of this one. Let's go to Add Elements, grab the image element, and I'm going to drag it like this until I see the thick gray line appear at the top. So I'm not going to put it in a column. I'm just going to let it stand there all by itself, very independent this image is. Click on the image and then the image icon, upload the image, and we choose this one over here. As always, I want to make this image 100% height. Go to the settings, and then over here in height, click 100%. Right, now my image comes down to that manageable size and it looks better. For the next step, I want to show you the beauty of having an image with one color background. And you find this often in stock photos. The photographers shoot them especially for this usage. I am going to apply this background color to my entire section. I want the whole block to have this background color. There are many ways you can determine that color. You can go into Photoshop, you can go into Affinity Photo, any other kind of photo editor or graphic editor, and you can use an ink dropper to get this. But remember, I showed you at the beginning this one up here called Color Pick Eyedropper. This is where this baby is going to come in very useful. So I'm going to click on it, then I'm going to hover over it, click, and then the code appears here. It is already highlighted, so you don't have to go and highlight it. All you need to do on your keyboard is Control-Command-C to copy it. Then I close it out. I go up here to my block now, go here to Colors, and here where the code is, double-click to select it, and Control-V. Kind of like magic, right? It's one of those things like, how is that possible? It's not going to be 100% the background because the background is going to have variations. There's going to be slight changes in the color in the background, but it is so unnoticeable that you don't see how it transitions from the background we created to the photo background. It just looks very beautiful and like magic. So we don't have to do much for this one. We leave the 135 pixels at the top, the one that we had created. Or maybe we can make it a little bit lower. I think let's just reduce it a little bit to 75 pixels. What I want you to note now is what happened here. And this is what we had tried earlier to bring that photo all the way down so that it can touch the top of this one, no gap in between, a little bit of a seamless movement. And just look at this stunning header we had created with just that. We want to add some space here. So we bring in a spacer and drop the spacer there. And I think we can increase this a little bit, just a little bit. Right, let's go on. Now we just change our contents. And shall we leave, we'll just leave that lorem ipsum text there. We're going to use that. For this, let's delete these columns. Delete. And out you go. And now we bring in a form element. We want people who want to apply for custom orders, who want to place custom orders, to fill in a form and let us know. This is all about conversion. And conversion is a big name that scares many people. And when they hear what conversion is, they say, "Nee, I don't need conversion. I just want a simple website." No, there's no such thing as a simple website. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. You need conversion at every point. Otherwise, being out there and not being reachable is one of the most annoying things. You go to a website, you see something and you think, okay, let me contact these people. And then, how do I reach these people? You need to make it accessible for people who want to reach you. Your website is like the Yellow Pages. Yellow Pages has a telephone number. Websites have contact forms, email addresses, and you can put your telephone number there. I'm not a big fan of putting all my details on a website. I like to be a little bit incognito, but a form is very important. We're not going to talk about conversion. We're going to talk about how we can style this form. The first thing I want to do is I want to box this form a little bit more. I want to constrain it. I think all the way from here to the left, there to the right is just too wide. It doesn't drag the attention of the user. And you've learned by now that when we want to bring in things and we want to put space on the left and the right, we do that with padding. There are other ways you can do it, and we'll look at that in other tutorials. But for this one, I'm going to stick to that. So you go to this element over here, which is the form element, go to settings and then padding. And we're going to apply, I would say 15%. You see, I like to use the percentages. Go to the right, click on percentage, and let's add 15%. See, now we have that space there, and we do the same for the left. 15 and put it on percentage. Right. Let's see how we work with the form. Click on this field, and these are again terminology that you have to get used to. Anywhere you can input data, we call it a field, similar to access. And then the word or the name that appears, that the subject that appears in here, email, we call the label. So the first thing I'm going to do here is change the label, and I want people to give me their name. The next thing, you go and set everything within this field. Click up here where it says field, and the field type is not an email. We don't want people to give us their email. We want us to give them their name, which is text. That's a text field. Is it required? Yes, I want them to give me their names. And then width, I'm going to reduce this field, and I'll type in 50%, and you will see what's going to happen. Now we have this only on 50%. Spacing, leave it like that. Next, I'm going to duplicate it. So click on duplicate, and now we have two. It has duplicated this one, and because it is at 50%, this one also appears at 50%. Let's double click on the label, and now this is when we want the email address. So I type in their email address. Go again here to the field type. This time it is email address. We leave it. So it's a custom order. We want people to tell us a little bit about their custom order. I'm going to duplicate this. And then here in the new one, let's select everything. And we're going to say flower selection. Or let's give it a more types of flowers preferred. We want people to tell us, I want daisies, I want sunflowers, I want roses, I want a bed of roses. And then we go here to field, and now we have to change the field type again back to text. And we leave everything like this. If people don't want to fill this in, then they cannot send it. And then we duplicate this one, and then we ask them, do you have a preferred color theme? Do you want to go for yellow? Do you want to go for red? They can put it in there. We're not giving them a selection. They can just type it there by themselves. And then this selection is when you want to give people selections. Like I just said, if you have certain, like you have a bouquet style 1, bouquet style 2, bouquet style 3, you can put it in here. We will not use the selector, so we go up to the toolbar and click on delete. This here is what is called your message area. So we can here give people the opportunity to write a longer text, and we can call this additional notes or in additional, well, let's call it additional instructions. And then you go up here and you just make sure it is set to paragraph. The difference between paragraph and text is how much of area you have here. If I put it on text, it's just one line. But both of them basically contains text. And then if you go to paragraph, it looks like this. And the next thing that happens, you get an extra slider over here, height, that you can drag. And you can increase it and you can decrease it. You will notice that with these additional instructions, I have deselected required. The reason for that is I don't need them to give me additional instructions. If they tell me clearly we want sunflowers, we want poppies, they don't have to give me additional instructions. Now we go and style. Okay, now I just want to use terminology again. Styling always talks about how things look, color, size, etc. So every time I say we style things, it means now we're going to make things look pretty or look different. For the form element in Brizy, any styling that you apply to one field applies to all the fields. So I'm going to click here on this field. Then we go to T for typography first, and I'm going to put it on Nonito. I'll make it a little bit larger here, around 18. The weight I will leave on normal, and I think the rest we can leave as they are. Then we go next to colors. Notice up here you have 3 color options. First is the background, then the label color, then the border. The background I'm going to make transparent, and to do that you go to the slider on the right, click and drag it all the way down, and it goes away. Next, click on the label. I'm going to use this dark color of ours here, second from the left. And then for the border, click on the border. I'm going to choose this gray, and you see it appears. A good idea for a border is always to reduce the opacity a little bit. It's not that harsh, just over there. You can also change the border size within this column over here, if you prefer to do so. So our form has been styled. Next we go to the button. And the first thing with the button is I want to align it all the way over here to the right. So you click on the alignment, center, and you click again, it's on the right. We can change a few things here, but I think we're just going to change the text. So double click in the button and say, inquire, or ask us. Something like that, right? Ask us or place your order. What else do we want to do here? We go to the button and we make the corners rounded to make it consistent with the rest. And you do remember that it has this hover option, which I'm not crazy about the speed. And to access that, go to settings for the button, and up here you reduce it to around, I'm going to put it anything around there. So now the hover transition is much quicker, the way I would like it to be. Click again on the button, because now comes the stage where you have to input data. If you just make this form and you go on, if people come and they send you any message, where does it go? Into the oblivion. You have to send it somewhere. And there are 2 things that you need to do here. First, we go to this little one over here that looks like an app or a plug that you're going to plug in, and you click on that. And this will set up the entire process for where you want to send this form to. And currently you are integrated within WordPress. So WordPress is going to handle your entire form. Click on WordPress and then email to. This is where you want to send your email to. You can type in any address there. Don't type in the friend you don't like anymore and you just want to send them unnecessary emails. It's your email address. This is where you want to receive the messages. And the subject is the subject that will appear in your inbox. So if you come to my site, you fill in this form and you click send, this email will appear in my inbox and this subject will appear there. So we can say here, Flowershop messages. Then I will know when I look at my inbox, oh, I got a message from the Flowershop. And continue. And then we are done. But we're not done. We go here now to this link option for the button over here. And you will see here messages and redirect. We're just going to work with the messages in this tutorial. The messages appear after people press this button. And there are 2 messages that can appear. One is a success message. The other one is an error message. A success message usually appears when people fill in everything and everything goes smoothly. Then that will appear. And currently it says message sent. That will let people know your message is through the system, the matrix has it now, and whether the other person is going to get it or not will all depend on the matrix. That's what that means. The error is, for example, people didn't fill in something or something went wrong and it will tell them, oops, something is wrong. Now currently, very, very faintly, it says message sent and this one says message not sent. I'm not going to change it, but you can change it to your heart's content. You can change whatever you want to put in there and it will appear whether the message is successful or the message has an error. Good. Let's see if we're done with this one. We have this beautiful header at the top and then we have our custom form. That looks good. Let's save this work and then we go style it on mobile and on tablet. Jump into tablet first. And there we go. Tablet looks perfect. We don't need to change anything on the tablet. Let's just have a look. I say that, but I want to check very carefully. Tablet is good. And we go to the mobile and you will see the mobile also looks pretty nice. Only thing is here, maybe our text too long, right? Let's go change that. We call this flower preference. Flowers preference or flower preference? Flowers. Sure, that's a difficult one. Flowers or flower preference. but now it looks better here. And because we had copied the section we had made earlier, and in that section we had styled this column, we had put pixels in this column on the left and the right of 25 pixels for the padding. We don't need to do it here. It's already done. So it should display okay. I think just because it's a cell phone, I'm going to reduce this space a little bit, bring these guys closer to each other, and the bottom looks fine. Right, let's go back to the desktop, save it one more time, and then we go view it on the front end. So that seeing is believing. Scroll down. Ooh la la! How did you do this, Sandy? I don't know. And let's see how it looks on our iPhone X. Dum dum. It looks good. Let's test if this message can send indeed. So let's type in a name here. We say it is Sandy Prinsloo, and her, oh, that's the email address. So it is sandy.prinsloo@bewildered.com, and her flower preference is cactus. I'm not sure what is the flower called of a cactus. Cactus flowers, I guess, right? And the color theme is white and green. And can I get it tomorrow? Yours forever after, Sandy Prinsloo. Okay, there we go. So we say ask us and we send, and then you have this green over here. Your email was sent successfully. Now I want to step away for a few minutes from Brizy and the page builder. Currently within Brizy, you have this setting over here that gives you the success message. But you can see, if you know fonts, this is not the font that we are using. This is not Noto Sans, nor is it Alice. It is something like Times Roman, which sort of unbalances what is going on here. This is one of the reasons why I use Suki as a theme, because Suki has a setting that integrates with Brizy that allows you to override this. For the first time in this tutorial, we're going to exit our page. Let's close this one first, and we go back to our page builder. We have saved it. Go down here to the bottom where you see the three little lines, the hamburger, and click back to WordPress. What we will do now is we will go into Suki, the theme customizer, and activate one setting over there. To do that, you go to Appearance, Customize. And it will open up this customizer for us, the theme customizer. And now, if you go here to the bottom, second from the bottom, you will see this option that says Brizy Integration. Click on that, and I'm going to enable this one, Disable Brizy's Reset CSS. I'm going to enable that. And then you have to go up here and click on Publish. So while we are here, if I scroll down to the bottom now, and I enter everything, okay, and I say ask us, do you see my font is different now? Now it takes the font from the theme, and you can go change that font. We'll do that later. This is one of the reasons I like to use Suki with Brizy. Very nice integration. Let's close out here, and now we go back to our page. To do that, if you're lost, go to All Pages. You will see home page over here, the one we've been working on, and you just click here on Edit with Brizy. The site is shaping up nicely. Let's build the last promo section, and then we have a testimonial plus another banner, and then the contact form. We're nearly done, and then we'll do all the links there near the end. Bring in a new blank block, add a blank block, and let's bring in the image for the background. Go to there, over here, over there, and we grab this one. Good. And for this one, let's just give some space at the top and the bottom so we can see it better. I think the first thing we'll do is go over here to where it says colors, and we are going to apply a gradient color for this. Go to overlay while you're in overlay and click on the drop down box and select gradient. First one, click, make sure you see this little selector up here, make sure the white dot is in the middle, and I'm going to put it on white. Second one, click on the second one, use this color. Then I will reduce this one to what? Around here. And for the white one, I'm going to just increase it a little bit, and we get that. Good. So you see, that is how easy I did the gradient. Now that I look at it, I actually want to switch them around. So I could have just changed them here, but what I'll do is I go here to where it says linear. Next to it is the degree box, and I'm going to type in 270 degrees. And now it switches them around. Like I said, you could have just played with them up here and you could have switched them around. Good. We have two columns over here. I'm going to click on this column and drag it to around 70. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but we can put it at 70-30. It's not that important. The only thing is I want two columns. For the first column, let's bring in our heading, and I'm bringing in a text element. Click on it and we will make it white. That will stand out from the background. Triple click to select everything and type in fall collection. We put this on a heading 1. Great. We've already styled everything, so you see how easy it is. Don't need to do anything else. Let's put a spacer under this. Spacer. And for the spacer, it comes in at 50 pixels, and we will leave it at 50 pixels. Next, let's bring a text element under that, and we're going to just leave the Brizy default text there. Let's go for a color white. Typography, we put on subtitle. Again, we've styled it, so it's great. Only thing is, we want it to be 2 lines equally balanced. So we're going to apply some padding here on the right, settings, more settings, and then unlink the padding borders, or the padding sides, go to the right one, percentage, and I'm going to put it on 50%. Let's see what happens. Do I want 3 lines? No, that's a little bit maybe too extreme, but I think I like it. I'm going to leave it like that. And then under this one, we'll put another spacer, and we make it a little bit smaller at around 25. And you see I'm going a little bit quicker. By now you should know everything that we have been doing. And then button. But again, I'm not going to create a new button from scratch. I'm going to go up on my page, grab a button over here, click on the button, duplicate, then grab this button, drag it down, use the down arrow key on your keyboard to move the page down, and then drop it here. Let's style the button differently because the color currently doesn't contrast enough with the background. Click on it and we go to color. For background, we are here on background, put it on white. And then for text, you put it on the third swatch from the left. And even when you hover, okay, let's go just to hover over here. Click on the hover, and then background, also put it on white, and text, put it on the same brick color. Right, let's just put it back there. Let's see. Good, now it works, and it contains everything. Let's just change the text, and we say, get the brochure, because this is our fall collection that we want to advertise for them. The last thing we will do here is just make sure what do we have up here. I cannot clearly see on this color. So let's go up here to the settings of the block and more settings. And I'm just going to link them. Let's put them all around 250 for both top and bottom. And maybe a tad too big, but I think I'm okay with that. And that is our fall collection, Get the Brochure. Let's go have a look at our tablet. For the tablet here, fall collection, let's reduce the spacing here and also over here. And you see what you can do now, that if you needed more control, you can just grab this handle of the column and drag it, and this will allow you more control. So let's just do that so you can see, and then go to this column here, reduce it so it can come back. Let's add space at the top, just adding a little bit more space. And I think we've got enough space here on the left. Do we? I think we do. And then for a mobile, okay, so we know we have to add some space there. But what I'm going to do on the mobile, let's first drag it in as well, like this. Grab this one. I also want to have the same effect. Good. And then more space at the top for the mobile, more space at the bottom, the spacer a little bit less. And we have to add padding here on the left. Remember, every time we work with the phone, we have a problem. It will go to the edge. We have to add that 20 pixels. We don't need to do it on the right because we have this column here. Go to the first column, settings, and then left, add 20 pixels. Let's see if it still looks presentable. It still looks presentable. I want to add a little bit more at the top. Go back to the front or to the desktop, update, Control S, Command S. We go and view our summer, our fall, autumn. Why I even use the word fall? We say autumn in South Africa. And let's activate the device. Go for a Samsung Galaxy S9 and scroll down to our fall collection. There's our fall collection. Scroll down again. Okay, so you see here, this is why we need to go and view it on a mobile. It will give us a very clear idea of where we run into issues. And we can see our fall collection here just doesn't fit in well. Good. So we go back into our mobile. And what we do here is we extend it. Go to this column and we just reduce it. Update it. And then we go to this page that we've loaded. We just refresh or reload the page. And hopefully that will give us everything we've ever dreamed of. And that's very little to dream. Dream bigger, my son. Dream bigger. Good. So see how quickly we made that. You've gotten used to how we work now with the columns and the sections and how we drag the padding and why we apply padding 50% here or a certain percentage there. And once you get that, it starts to go very quickly. Up next, the testimonial section. Actually, I'm not a big fan of testimonial sections because I think a lot of them are fake. But they are still important. That's the reality. Whether I like them or not, they still have social value proof. And lately we call this social proof, something that you need. So I know there's a lot of new apps on the market that allow you to do that. And we will look at some of them in the future, you know, little pop-ups that says, Jocelyn from Nebraska just bought it and likes your page, and it will pop up here at the bottom. Basically tell other people, hey, there's real people on my side, man, not only bots. Right, let's go to the, what do we call it? The testimonial section. And this is the page that we're going to build out. I want to show you the testimonial section that I had originally built out because we're going to make a few changes to it as we are going to do it. Here is the testimonial section, and it's done with blocks. You turn a block into a slider and it slides. First thing you will see, it is sliding, right? You have these three and you have three dots here. We call them navigation dots. Now you'll notice, since I hovered with my cursor over this, it will stop, okay? And then you will also notice that we have these arrows, which we call navigation arrows. So these are pretty important because if you hover over it, it stops. So the only way you can see what the next one is going to do is you have to click on it and you will see what Andy Pipkin has to say at this very important moment in his life. The problem that you're going to run into is on a mobile display. Those navigation arrows, and you will see it here on the left once it loads up, are going to really squash your content. Now, I've already applied a lot of padding on the left and the right to try and move it into the middle. I do not have control currently over these arrows. This is not a feature yet in it. I cannot move them more to the side so that they are closer to the edges of the screen. So the problem is that if I really try to bring them here into the middle, I'm going to have extremely tight, what do you call this thing again? A testimonial. So what I'm going to do for the one that we are going to build is I'm going to remove these navigation arrows. I'm not going to use them because they are going to give me a problem in that mobile display. Maybe some people won't care about it. I care about it. We still have the dots at the bottom. If I could, I would remove even the dots. But like I mentioned to you, you have to remember, if you remove everything and a person hovers over it, it will stop. On the other hand, you can also remember that on a cell phone and tablet, they're not going to be able to hover over it. They have their finger. There's no hovering on a cell phone display, so it will just keep swiping through the different ones. One more thing before we go into it is that to make a block slider, you create a block, and then you turn that block into a slider. But I'll tell you more about that now. So let's go into our page that we've been building, and we bring in a blank block. And what we're going to do is delete one of these columns, right-click and delete. Let's bring in a background color, go to the block settings, and then colors, and we choose the orange. You will think, well, it's not the one you had. This is the great thing about working with colors, is that you can have these colors here, and anything that you use here on the slider, like this, I'm reducing the opacity, will be okay. You can use it. So I'm going to reduce it to around 30%. It almost looks white, but if you compare it to this color over here, you know it isn't white. Now, important to understand, you have to build everything now in this block. Go to your mobile displays, make sure they look proper there before you start working on your second slide. So the first thing we want to do in this one is to bring in an image for the person. So we bring in an image, and you're going to see the image is going to fill everything from left to right. I think what I'm going to do at this moment is I'm going to restrict the space that I want to work with. I don't want the entire area of this column. I just want to have a little bit in the middle. Let's say we want to work with around 60% here, which means 30% on the left and 30% on the right we're not going to use. Go to column, settings, more settings, and then here under padding, put it on percentage for the right and type in 30. And you do the same for the left, percentage, put it on 30. Now we will only have this area for our entire testimonial. Let's bring in the image, click on the image, upload, and we grab Hester Prynne. Click on her. And then the first thing we do is we go put the height at 100%. Good. This is a 1:1 image, which means, let me just show you, we go back here. If I click on her, you will see my settings here is 300 by 300 pixels. For this kind of testimonial, circular effects or circular shapes that you want, a 1:1 ratio, which means your left and your right, your top and your bottom, they're all the same pixels, 300 by 300. That's going to work very well. And we don't need to play around with the selector because it is at the correct aspect ratio. Click out. The image is too big, so we bring it down. You can click up here and grab this slider, or alternatively, you click on the image like this and you just grab a handle here in the corner and you drag it. And you're going to make this one pretty small. I'm going to just tell you, yeah, 22% is fine. I'm going to put it on 20%. And to give it that circle, we go here to corner, click on that, and we can just see here that it's extended all the way, and we get that circle effect. And there we have, what is her name? Hester Prynne. She is in action. Next, let's give it her a quote. We're going to bring in some lorem ipsum text for that. Triple click here and paste the text, and you have your quotation marks there. We're going to use subtitle. So go to typography, subtitle, and we center align everything. And because we have put this padding on the left and the right, it's nicely under this one. Let's bring in a spacer, reduce it a little bit, and then we're going to have her name. So down here, triple click on everything and say Hester Prynne. Let's center align this, and I'm just going to style this my own way. It's on Unito. Let's put it on black, and we increase it to 22. And everything else, I think we can reduce the line height because it's just one line. There we go. Now you may be tempted to create your slider now and bring in the next slide, but you're not going to do that. First, before we do that, let's just add some padding here at the top to around 130, and same here at the bottom around, I would add more space at the bottom because those dots are going to come in the navigation dots, 150. Now you go into your tablet because you have to make sure that it displays well on your tablet. Click on this one, we reduce it, we make it smaller until we get it round again. And then let's go again here to our column, click on settings, and we apply percentage again on the left and right, but I'm going to keep it on the 15% just because I think it's enough for that. Let's go again to Hester Prynne, click on her T, and then we make that black. And we apply again some space at the bottom to allow for the navigation dots, some breathing room. Go to mobile, and here we're going to apply our good friends 25 pixels on the right and 25 pixels on the left. And we're going to apply again space at the bottom and space at the top. I've done all of this because now when I create my slide, go to desktop. Now when I create the slide, all those settings for the tablet and mobile will be remembered for the next slide. And to create the slide, you go to the block, click on block all the way to the left where you see this one, and click on it and choose this option, make it a slider and activate it. And now you will see 2 dots appear and the navigation arrows. Let's go again to the block settings. Go here to block, and you will see now we have the option for slider. For dots, you can choose the kind of dots you want. We're going to leave it on that. And for arrows, we're going to say none. Autoplay will allow the slides to cycle by themselves, and autoplay is a good idea, especially on a cell phone. So say yes, and the speed at which it will transition or every time it will shuffle is 3 seconds. And that's all you need to do for the settings over here. Now we go and work on the second slide. Currently, you will have 2 identical slides. The one that is selected has the fill, and this one that is empty is the slide that you have created. So click on this slide, and then we just change the content for this one. Click on the image, and choose this lady over here. Happy days are here again. And let's just leave the quote. We can get a different quote later. Change her name to Lucy Westenra. And then we want to have one more slide. So what we do is we go up here to the block and we say duplicate. And you will see there is the third one. Click on the third one. Click on the image. And we choose Andy Pipkin. And then change his name. Andy Pipkin. Good. So if you were to go now into tablet, you will see they're all here. Update it, and then let's go view that slider on the front end and see if it does play the way we want it to play. Scroll. Come on. Scroll down. And here. There we go. Slider looks good. Let's see how this behaves on our iPad. And there's our slider for the iPad. Click between them. iPhone. And there we go. So you see, we have solved that problem of the arrows that were squashing everything together. Maybe we could have made the image a little bit bigger, something we can remember next time. Good. Testimonial done. While we are here, we are going to add this banner at the top now again. And this, what I want to say, is very standard on sites, is to build something and use it again and again. It also gives your site a feeling of consistency when you use certain elements again. You want to use this same banner, but you are going to just change the text. To duplicate the entire block, go to the block and duplicate. And to bring that one down all the way to the bottom, go over here, reorder blocks, grab it, drag it, scroll a little bit and drag it. Shoot, we've built up quite a page here. And there it is now at the bottom. So if we scroll down to the bottom, here we see free local delivery on orders over $150. Triple click on it, and now we change it to we deliver and ship all over the country. Right? And let's update our work. And then we only need to do our final one, which is the contact form and the contact section. Add a new block, add a blank block. And this contact form is different from the custom orders in that this is just for people to contact you, maybe for questions, not regarding orders. Let's put these 2 columns at 4260, somewhere there. See if I can get it exactly at 4260. And what I will also do is go to the block settings, and then for the width, I will constrain this to 90%, just make it a little bit more boxed. Bring in a text element in the first column, and we will say triple click, reach us, and then put this on heading 3. Under this, we bring in a spacer. Okay, and then we bring in a text element. And we're going to type our address here, address, and then enter or written on your keyboard, 414A, Bouquet Boulevard, and then Cape City, PTA. What I will do is I'll go to the address part, I'll go to T, and then I will choose bold. I'll make it a little bit bigger to 17, and it's already on bold. And then go to settings and then gap below. I will give it about 10 pixels, give it that little bit of definition. Then I'll go to this line over here and I'll add gap below, and this one I'll add 20 pixels. All I'll do now is duplicate twice. Then I go to the second one, type contact, and we can say, give their number +2. Oh, where am I? +36333 10. There we go. That's the number. Enter, and then we say Brizy at bouquets at w4b.com. Brizy at Brizy.bouquets. Put a dot, and we lost some color styling there, so let's just go back and put it on the color for the text, right? And then same for this one. Let's just put the bottom. Interesting, it didn't keep the gap below when it copied it. 20 pixels for the gap below. Good. Then we're back to that. And for this one, we call our operating hours. And I'm going to put the cursor in front of it so I can keep the color Monday to Friday. And that is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. 3 p.m. enter, and then Saturday and Sunday is 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then I'm just going to delete the rest. And we've styled that. For this one, we don't need. So why it has one here and it didn't have one at the other one? We don't have a gap below here. Interesting. Let's do the right side. I'm going to duplicate this and then drag it over to the right. Triple click on it and say get in touch. And then what we'll do also for our spacer, going to duplicate the spacer, drag it in here. Ooh. There we go. And then we bring in a new form, and we're going to make a new form very similar to the previous one. First one, we're going to double click on the label, call it name, go up here, put it on text, required yes, and put the width at 50%. Then we click on it, duplicate it, go to the second one, say email, field, and put it on email. And then this selector, click on it, delete it, and then over here, let's put it on message. Let's go style our form, click on the T, we're going to put it on the Nito, and we'll put it on bold. That's it, make it a little bit bigger to 18. And let's give it a little bit of space at 0.5 for the color. The background, like before, I'm going to reduce the background to 0. And then for the label, I'm going to put it on this color. Just note here, though, that the opacity slider is set at 70%. So I'm going to drag it all the way up so we can have it at full opacity. And then for the border, I'm going to choose again this gray. Let's choose the same color and then reduce it just a little bit. All right, let's see how that looks. Good. Our form is ready. Go to the button. Let's say this one is sent. Type in sent. And we go for, I think this is fine. Everything here. We go to T. Let's just put it on the Nito. And then we make it also a little bit bold, more bold. Make it a little bit bigger. And then we need to, where's our corners? Over here to button. That's why I went there, corners. Make our corners, and then we align it to the right. And there you go. That is our form section. Let's just see if everything balances nicely. Looks good. And let's bring a map under this. Go to add elements, grab the map element over here. And then we're going to drag it here until we see the long, thick gray line. And then once the map comes in, you can click on the map, go over here. Let's give it something I know, Long Street, Cape Town. See if it can find Long Street in Cape Town. And there we go. It found Long Street in Cape Town. And that's all the settings I'm going to change here. Maybe add space between these two. Go to my add element spacer and drag it in there. Let's have a look. At the top, let's add space to around 135, seeing that we did that for the others. Keep it consistent. And then let's do the same for the bottom, 135. I think one of the things that you get to understand as you work with it, there's never just one way. There are always so many ways you can do the same thing. And you can achieve it with so many variants, and you can do it in so many different places, just like I did with the padding. You can do it over here, or you can go to the settings, more settings, and you can do it over there. Sometimes you do one, sometimes you do another one. So it's very difficult to tell people, do it like this, do it like that. It's just what you're up at that moment and what you want to do at that moment. And that is our contact section that we've created here. Let's save it, and then mobile and tablet. Go to our display for tablet. Right, let's have a look. And I think we're just going to reduce a little bit of space here. 50, let's make it 25. And I'm typing it exactly because I want both of them to be the same. Right, and then the message looks fine. Our map, let's also reduce this one by half. So we'll also give it 25. Then for the mobile, scroll down. Okay, for the mobile, we know we have to add some space. No, we don't, because we put our block on 90%. So we have the space already. I'm looking here. I want to decrease this and then get in touch. I also want to decrease that and scroll down. Okay, the map, let's also reduce the size over here. Again, I confidently said, we don't need to add the padding here on the left and the right, but let's go to the front end and let's go make sure that that confidence is well spoken for. Preview what we've done here. Let me close this page. Get our iPhone X. And then we scroll down. Let's go see how it looks there at the bottom. Okay, that looks good. And you see there we've got the space. So because we had put this block at 90% of the width, it will look pretty nice here. And that's maybe something you can consider in the future. Just put it every time on 90% when you do work with a block. And then your contents will always be nicely within the boundaries of an iPhone X or smaller resolutions. Let's have a quick look then just from the top to the bottom. What have we created here? At the top, we made a hero image with a call to action to learn more. This button, we want, if people click on it, it will take them all the way to the bottom to this contact section. This is a one-page landing page, so we're not going to take people to other pages. We're just going to take them to other sections and other forms that they can get, or maybe documents that they can download. Then under this, we have this banner just to draw some attention. Free local delivery on orders over $150 US. Here we have our products, home and living, wedding and events, custom bouquets. And then for wedding arrangements, we have a promotion of 35% off. More featured products. These are the things that we are currently working on. Very proud for. And you see here, we've got learn more, details, and contact us. Actually, we're going to connect all those buttons to the contact form at the bottom. So if somebody wants to know more about home and living, they have to contact us. If somebody wants to know about custom bouquets, they have to contact us. And then we go to custom orders where we have a form. Oh, that reminds me, before we do anything else, we didn't set up our form. Full collection, and then we have our contact form. So what makes this one different? We forgot to set up the settings. So let's go back to the page builder, click on the button, and then go here to set it up. Now you will think this is going to be the same email. No, it doesn't have to be. You can send it to a different email if you want. What you can do here though, if you keep the same email address to where it will send to, is you can change the subject. So you can say here contact, you can call this contact form messages. contact form messages. So when you receive this message in your inbox, you will know this comes from the contact form. And the other one that said Flowershop messages, maybe you can go and change that to something like custom orders. So the subject will tell you exactly which part of your website this comes from and what these people are contacting you in connection with. So remember, you have to go and set that. Don't forget all these links. Let's save our work, and then we are going to go and create our menu and set our section links, which we call anchor points, and set them to the menu so that when people click at the top, it will take them to a specific section on the page. Currently, our site at the top has this header, and it says Flowershop here, and then it says assign menu to the location. So we don't have a menu yet. Let's go and do that. And what we will do is we will create menu here with 3 links, one for services, one for products, and one for contact. What will happen if somebody clicks on the contact? It will take them all the way to the bottom of this page to the contact area. Now, how will the page know to do that? And to achieve that, we give this block a name. We give it a name and we call it contact. And then we will put that in the menu so that the two can talk to each other. So let's just go to the top again. And remember, the first one we want is services. So we scroll to this block here, which is about our products. We click on the block, settings, more settings, go over to advanced, and you will see anchor name. That's going to be the anchor that will draw it to this part, and we're going to call it services. Use only small caps and no spaces, one word. So services, and just click outside. The next one will be products or our featured products. Let's go just call this one here. More or less services and products, the same thing. For example purposes, man. Advanced. Let me do it again. We go here to our block, settings, more settings, then advanced anchor name, and we type in products. And then the last one will be our contact form at the bottom. Go here to block, settings, more settings, advanced, and we call it contact. Now we've given these 3 blocks anchor names, anchor links, so that our menu will know where to go. Update that. And to create the menu, we have to go into WordPress for that. To the bottom left where you see the hamburger menu, click on more and click on back to WordPress. In WordPress, to create a menu, that is done under appearance. Hover over appearance, see menus here, click on menus, and we have to create a new menu. So where you see menu structure, it says menu name. We create new one, and I always usually call my main menu main menu. Type in the name of your menu. It's just a name so that you can know which menu you are working with, because you can create more than one menu if you want to. After you've done that, you have to create the menu. And now here is the area in which you will work. We are going to create what we call custom links. On the left here, you see there's a label here. Click on that, and then you see URL and link text. All you do here is highlight everything, type a hash, and then the first one that we want to link to is the block with services. And you have to use the exact same letters and word that you had used for your anchor link, which is services. The link text can be anything. I'm going to call this services. Well, or our products, doesn't matter. Then click add menu. After I click this, you will see it will appear over here. Add menu. There it is. Let's add the second one, which is products. Hash again, products. And then in the link text, here you can type what you want. So even if you'd say, let's call this one featured products. We call this one a little bit different. You see, to our different add to menu. And then another one will be contact form. So hash, we can say contact. And then for the link text, let's call contact us. And that's it. 1, 2, 3. So this is in the order they will appear in our header. One thing you have to do is you have to tell WordPress where on that page this header must go. And it's going to be in the top, which in Suki is called header menu 1. And you just click there. It will appear there. Now you save your menu. Let's go view it currently, how it will display. Go over here to the top, hover over what you see here, and then you will see visit site. One very nifty shortcut key is Control Command Click. If I hold Control and you hold Command on your Mac and you click on this, it will open a new tab in your browser like so. I click and there's the new tab and it will take you to this link, which is your site. Now you can see up here, your menu appears here with those 3 links. If I click on services, it takes me to services. If I take it to featured products, it takes me to featured products. And if it click on contact us, and it's quite abrupt. It's way too quick. We like to put in something there to what we call smooth scrolling, because currently when I click on it, it's just, wow, a flash in the pan. It's a little bit too abrupt for that. Within the Suki theme, I did not find smooth scrolling. So what we do is we go and install a plugin for that, and that will allow us to do some smooth scrolling. Let's go back to this tab, and now we go to plugins, and we say add new. That will take us to the WordPress repository, and we can just search over here, smooth operator, smooth scrolling, and it will give us a few apps from which we can choose. You may have yours, somebody will have something else. Usually you check for things like how many active installations, and you also check the ratings for that. Don't only focus on that. Sometimes new apps come out and they're brand new and they actually work better than the old ones. So just always when you look for something, you go around and you do some research on the internet and Google as to what other people are recommending. I'm going to use page scroll to ID, and the ID here refers to that anchor link we have set. We're going to install this app, this plugin, so that will help our page to go smoothly, as smooth as butter. Installing, and then activate. And you can actually change a lot of settings for this. If you go here to settings, you will see here are the options for page scroll to ID, and there's a lot that you can mess around and play around with here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick to the default. Let's go to the front page again, reload it, and now it has refreshed. Did you see that already? If I go to the top and I click on services, it scrolls nicely to services. Next one, featured products, and then contact us. The other thing I want to add in this part is I want to have a button here at the bottom. So when I go all the way to the bottom of the page and I want to go to the top, I don't need to scroll all the way up. I can just click on that button and it will take me to the top of the page. We refer to that button as a scroll to top or back to top, and we're going to add another plugin for that. Go to plugins, add new, and we search scroll back to top, or like this one, scroll to top. Let's see which options we have here. Let's go for our 100,000 active installations. WP front scroll top. Install now. Activate. And it will take you to this page with also a lot of options. If you go down here to the bottom, you can choose from all these various ones that you can see here. Let's choose this one here. I'm going to choose this. Now you can say save changes. And then like a fool, like me, you're going to see it does not appear on your front page. So let's go and refresh this. And then I will show you my foolish mistake. I don't see anything. Where's my scroll to top? I just don't see it. And the reason you don't see it is because you actually have to enable it. And you know, there it is. The first thing is enabled. Check it and then scroll down to save your changes. Then we go back to our page and refresh. And now you see here it appears. So if I click on it, go all the way to the top. Look how easy we made this happen, right? Many other themes will include these features. So that's often where you have to play around with themes. They will include something like scroll to top. I know Astra has that. Many other themes have that. It's usually a pro feature. And themes will also dictate how the smooth scrolling will work. If they don't have it, you will do what I do, and you will either go get a plugin for that, or a page builder may have those as well included. So we've set our header, our menu up here. We've created the menu. We set the menu. we set our anchor links, we link them to each other, we put in smooth scrolling, and then we added a scroll to top. Beautiful. Next, what we're going to do is style this header. We want to make the header transparent, and we want to add a sticky header. Sticky header means that when I scroll down, the header will stay at the top. Before we start out with the header, let's just quickly give these buttons their links. And we're going to cheat. We're going to put those buttons all to the same link, which is the contact form. Close the front end. Let's go to the back end. Oh, well, I could have done that. Let's go to visit site, and I'll show you. Go to visit site. And then when you're at your page here at the top, you can just say edit page with Brizy. Takes us into the page builder. Linking anything on a page to anything else on a page is actually super easy in Brizy. One of the unique features in Brizy. Click on the button, click here on the link, and then go to anchor. And you can see it generates all these thumbnails that display the various blocks. We want to link this button to the contact area so that when people click on it, goes to the contact area, they fill in the form and they contact us. And you just click on it and that's it. And you'll even see the anchor name we gave it appears there. Just be careful. I do this all the time. If you click again, it will deactivate it. Just click once. Let's go to the next button. And it's over here. We're going to do the same. Link, anchor, scroll down to the bottom, and it's linked. Next one. You can link it all over the place. You can link it to external URLs. In this page, we're not going to do it. That's our form here. Get the brochure. We can put a PDF in here, but that's for another tutorial. We link that one as well. And that's it. Let's see if all those links work. And then we preview it on the front end. I'm struggling with a cat here that insists he wants to sit on my lap. And if my lap isn't available, then it has to be the keyboard. So I'm trying to keep him off, but he's not cleaning his face. Ah, so cute. You gotta love them. Sometimes you just want to kill them. Click on learn more, and it takes us to the contact form. Click back to top, scroll down. And what I'm doing is I'm testing them. And you will think, boring. Just trust me. Test, test, test. There's nothing like people coming to your site. They click on a link and it's not working, it's broken, or it's empty. It just leaves a bad impression. So it's something that you have to get used to and just do all the time. Get the brochure. There we go. That's all done. Finally, let's go and work on our header. Whenever you are on the front end of any page, you can go directly into the theme customizer with this button over here. Click on customize. And I'm going to minimize that view on the left. And there are a number of things that we're going to do. Now, when it comes to themes, I still need to meet the theme that is 100% logically structured when it comes to its menu. Suki does a great job. There are others out there, terrific themes that when you get into their layout, it just doesn't make any sense. So if you do what I do and you jump between themes, you're constantly trying to figure out what is where. If you stick with one theme, you're going to be very happy. You're going to know exactly where everything is. It's a trade-off. I like new things, so I like to play around with themes. I'm constantly looking for things in the theme menu. I cannot find it in the customizer. Let's go for our customizer global settings and the site identity. This is where you set up these things up here. You see that little page and the name? We're going to do that here. So site title, we're going to call it Flowershop. And then the tagline will be all that flowers and blooms. Okay, all that mumbo jumbo. And then we're going to add what we call a site icon. This is the word that we use lately, also originally introduced way back when. I think it was actually Internet Explorer, Microsoft, who brought this in as a favicon. And that is going to display many places on a page. It's going to display up here in the browser tab. It's also here in your favorite bookmarks. You can see these little tabs. And this is actually the one I had created previously. Let me just get this boy cat. He's all over the place. Call me so. There we go. Right. So let's go to select site icon. And you upload it from here. I have this little flower. And this is our site icon. I can skip cropping, it's perfect, and you see immediately it appears there at the top. Everything you do in the customizer, you have to remember to save it, and saving it is called publish. You click up here and it is published. Click back and let's see homepage, setting Google fonts, social media links. We're not going to use any of that. Let's go now to header over here, and we are going to be working with the main bar, which is this area. You have what we call a top bar where you can put things like your telephone number, social media links, as well as your bottom bar. For this one, we only work with the main bar. Great feature about the Suki theme is that you can build it here, custom build it here at the bottom. We're not going to do it. I'm going to leave it like it is there at the top. I'm just going to click on main bar. I'm going to reduce the height of this main bar to around 40 pixels, and you will see it goes. And if nothing happens, grab the slider. And if then, and you will see after you grab the slider, things begin to shape up. Yep. So now I'm going to reduce it to 40 pixels or 50. Let's see how that looks. And again, it's a matter of trial and error as you go through these things. I don't want it to be a big header. I want it to be in that level there. Let's go to typography. So now we are looking at text typography. We're looking at menu link. Those are the menu links that we are working with. And on the font, I'm going to look for Nonito. So I scroll down, and there's Nonito. So I can apply Nonito. The weight, I'll put it on, let's put it on medium. And then the style, I'll leave on normal, default, and transform. I'm going to put it on uppercase. You see what happens over there? Then the size, currently I think the size is fine, but I want to increase the line spacing. So I'm going to give it 1 pixel spacing between the letters. Let's just give it a little bit. There we go. Let me reduce that. Sometimes like that. Okay. So I think that looks good. You see that what we've got up here. We don't have a sub menu. We don't have icon size. So click on the main bar, click back, and you will wonder, where is the transparent header? It is not activated by default. So let's publish the work here, and I'll take you back into the dashboard and show you where you have to go for these settings. And this is also very standard for most of the themes nowadays. Go to the dashboard, and then you go to appearance, click on the Suki, and then over here we have extra pro add-ons, which you have to activate. If you don't use it, make sure you deactivate it so it doesn't load all that coding and slow your site down with a few milliseconds. Transparent header, yes, I want to use that, so I have to activate it. Sticky header, yes, I want to use that, so I'm going to activate it. There are other features here like alternate header colors, mega menus. I'm not going to use those. We're going to use one more, preloader screen, and we're going to activate that one as well. Now that we've activated it, we can go back to the customizer over here, appearance, customize. Now when we go to our header, you will see the option here for transparent header. I want to enable this one first, so it will give us a clear idea of what we are working with. So you can see, there we go. Main bar, transparent header background, click on it, put it on black, reduce it. And what is that, about 18%? And then border color, I'm going to give the border, there's a little white line there, you see, very faintly, leave it on that. Click back. Let's go to our main bar. We want to go and change the text color over here. So we go to colors, link text color, and we put it on white. There you see now it's on white. And there we still have the hover states, link text color hover. And for this, I'm going to paste a code here, one of those that we had used this color. So when I hover over it, it has, what is that? This, I think it's somewhere one of these colors that I've used. We don't have submenus, so we are done with this header here. Everything looks good for that. Let's click back on the main bar. One thing that you have to make sure of, and that is for tablets and mobile. You see the little images appear here at the bottom. Let's click on the tablet, and you see the header stays the same. Again, you have to go to transparent header and you have to activate it. This is all mobile header. So enable transparent mobile header. We activate it over there. And now we've got that as well. Only problem is that this icon over here, we cannot see it very clearly. Under this mobile main bar, we say the background color, put it again on black and reduce it to 18%. And then the border color, we're going to put it again on white. We are done with the transparent header. Let's go style this one over here. We go to mobile main bar, link text color, put it on white, and there you see it changes. And then for the link text color hover, we paste that code that we had used. So when I hover over it, it will display like this. The next thing I want to do is what we call the mobile drawer pop-up. That's this sidebar that comes here on the left. Click on mobile drawer pop-up, and I'll change the color, background color, to the one that we've been using. And then for the link text color, I'm going to change that to white. Currently, we don't have it. We don't assign it yet. And then the link text color hover, link text color hover, we will also put that on white and just reduce the opacity a little bit. So when people hover over it, you can see like this. We're going to keep the search functions. I think that's kind of nifty. Not that we have much to search on this site. So let's see what we've done here. And we go back to our main display. I'm just going to hide this over here. There is our top header. If I click on services, featured products, and we can scroll to top again. That looks pretty good. Right, all of this looks the way we would like it to look. Next one up is the sticky header. Over here, sticky header, and we're going to activate the sticky header. Right, it's activated. We scroll down and we don't see the sticky header. Where is the sticky header? I'll publish it, and this is sometimes that happens with the customizer and WordPress, and I'm going to reload this page. Let's just go to header again, sticky header, and now when I scroll down, you see it stays there. And I'm not going to change anything. I think that's fine. You can decide if you want the sticky header to always be there or only to appear when people scroll up, but I'm going to leave it there on always stick. So remember, if you run into customizer issues, you make a setting here and you don't see it changes over here, often a refresh will help with that. It's an age-old thing, and I'm still surprised that it rears its ugly head in the Gutenberg age and all the 2020s that are coming, that we still have that. It is there. It's still there. Okay, let's go back to the very beginning, and one more thing that we want to add here is the preloader screen. Now the preloader screen, we're first going to say enable preloader screen. Preloader screen is that thing that happens while your page is loading. Usually I don't use it, but I thought it's an interesting thing, so let's add it here. And the loader type that we are going to use is a progress image, and we are going to choose our own image for that. So we say select image, and we choose our favicon, and then let's see. Let's just save that. Width is fine. Remove everything. Let's publish it. And then we are done with our customization. Okay, and this is all we're going to do up to this. There's still so much we can do to tweak things here and there, but we are going to be content with this. I close out this page, and then where are we? What is this page? Let's just go back to WordPress on this one. Use this page, go to Flowershop, and visit our site. There's our preloader, and there's our page. It's a work of art. Tonight you can sleep well. You did a good job, and you created a good page, good colors, good layout. Typography works well. There are nice links. People can click on it. If they sit in a park all alone eating popcorn and they get a text, go check this link, and they click it on their phone, it will have a good mobile display. And if they're on their tablet, it will look good on the tablet as well. It just looks really good all in all. We have created a page. We are done. Like I said, there is still a lot that we can do on this page. There's more than one way to do anything in WordPress and on your page. and it's a matter of just getting some ideas. That is one of the reasons I love to watch other people's tutorials online about creating sites, because I am always inspired by different ways. Sometimes I'll be like, what on earth did that guy just do? That is such a long, schleppy way of doing it. But otherwise, I'd be very impressed. So we all have good habits and bad habits, and I think that's a great way to learn from each other. I hope you found this useful. Before you leave, before I leave, just one thing I want to show you again in the dashboard here in WordPress. You're on the sidebar. On the left, you will see the Brizy label, and if you hover over it and you go to leads, you will see that those forms that we had used, the contact forms on our page, when you send, if somebody sends a message to you through your contact form, they're going to send that to your email address, but a copy will also be generated here within leads. So you also have access to that within your dashboard. More tutorials to come here on Learn Brizy Page Builder. Also go and check out the Brizy site in the link below for webinars and other videos that we have over there. Very interesting things we are doing, and join the community. I love how the people on Facebook support each other, help each other, and also give support and come up with great ideas. That's really a great way to go. This is JP here with Learn Brizy Page Builder.